All right, I think we're live. Never really sure. Never super sure. We're gonna find out. Oh, I'm not even in the VC. Terrible times. Okay, well, it didn't cut up my audio this time. We will see if I'm live. Live. We're live. Never really sure. Now it's repeating. Okay, there we go. There we go. Welcome to more Mario Kaizo, okay? That's what I wanted to do. I was gonna watch the Sticker Johnson. Hey, who joined? Who goes there? It's Kirky boy. I mean, sorry, Kirky they them. How's it going, Kirk?
I have a topic. Are you streaming?
I am streaming. We're live on YouTube. You're a celebrity, Kirk. Say hi.
Because I was gonna ask if I could say slur, but we're on YouTube, so no.
That is correct. Them's the rules, bucko.
I actually had a topic I wanted to talk about. So, did you see the thing I sent in the philosophy section?
I saw it. Didn't watch it, but I saw it. What was it again?
It was a bet against quantum gravity.
Always with the physics. Always with the physics. You will see that you're live. Yeah, now I see. With OBS, I never know, Ivor. I never freaking know. Ivor, wait, before I go into your cringe physics, Kirk. Ivor, have you ever played this hack? WBM suggested it, and it has been very fun. It's got little, like, Celeste-style checkpoints. But, yeah, go ahead, Kirk. What about quantum gravity or whatever the fuck?
So, you were saying the other day that you think that the solution to Zeno's arrow paradox is that time is continuous, because if it's discrete, at any moment it would be frozen, like, so there couldn't be a Planck length of time, because if there is, then motion would be impossible, right? And so,
yeah. Although, again, I don't know enough. Maybe physics disproves me, and there is a Planck length of time. But I think that's probably just the lowest amount we can, like, measure.
You're right. I'm saying you're right. What this is a video with Jonathan Oppenheim, who's a theoretical physicist, and what he says on Quantum Magazine in this video is that precisely that time is continuous rather than discrete, and that space-time is emergent from space-time might be emergent from quantum physics, but it's not quantum itself, because it's there's no Planck length of space and there's no Planck length of time.
All right, okay, Kirk, hold that thought. You were unfortunately muted very early on by K2. It says mute and then a bunch of symbols that I don't know what they're supposed to say exactly. K2, thank you for the $5, but Kirk is the only one on panel. I'm just gonna be talking to myself, okay?
Or you could mute yourself.
I mean, that's what it is. What it is. I don't make the rule. Well, I guess I do make the rules, but so I guess I can't say that.
He hasn't said who he's talking about.
I think we know he's talking about you. So unfortunately, you have to mute yourself for 5 minutes, Kirk. Well, I talk to chat. Okay, I'll keep your own time, Kirk, because I'm not sure. So at 6:01, are we in the same time zone? Wait, you can't talk. That's a trick. Chess isn't possible because chess pieces can't move in discrete time. I would say chess pieces do move in discrete time. K2 would rather hear me talk to myself than talk to young Kirky boy. Kirky they them.
Hello?
Oh, hello, Testy. How's it going?
That's not going too bad. I just, I saw you went live, so I thought I'd just come say hi.
Based. Red pilled.
I was, I don't know if it seemed like it. I was pretty drunk last night when we spoke, but once Avarice started going off on the Tom Cruise thing, I was like, bro, I can't fucking, I can't, I can't have the patience for this shit right now.
Yeah, I got that vibe.
Well, that was part of it, but it was like, also just like, yeah, I was just not ready for that conversation. I was just... But it sounds like you guys figured it out.
Yeah, autism doesn't exist. ADHD doesn't exist. Even though Avarice clearly has ADHD, which is the most ironic thing. And he's like, yeah, but I wouldn't call it ADHD. I'm like, okay, but you have a syndrome that a bunch of other people seem to have, that you're saying you've had since you were like 3. Why not put a name on that?
Yeah.
I went through the whole thing. I'm like, you have a cluster of symptoms that we're calling a syndrome. Is that not a valid thing? It's literally just the title, because it seems like he's like, some people just have more energy and have troubles focusing, and I'm like, we call those people that people have ADHD. There's a word for that.
Yeah. Well, I have heard some of the arguments. I've spoken to a couple people where not even just like certain things, but they just deny that like mental illness is a thing. I mean, Andrew Tate does it. I feel like he does it ironically, because I don't know if you've ever seen him speaking about when he was in the was it Hungary or
Romania?
Country? Romania, when he was in the Romanian prison.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he like got through it, and he was like, yeah, I was isolated and blah blah blah. But he didn't want to just come out and say that he was like depressed. And so he basically kind of like made this argument that he just kind of like toughed it out. He just manned the fuck up. But I mean, you could see it on his face from some of those pictures. He was not in a good place, understandably.
I really liked what he said on that. I think I maybe have told you this, that I made a video on the therapy session he did with that like famous YouTube therapist, and I talked a lot about that. And I thought it was like the video's called Andrew Tate's Therapy Session is Surprisingly Enlightening, and it is surprisingly enlightening. And I actually agree with this. When he unpacks the depression stuff, I actually get what he's saying, because he's just saying, for me, it's better if I don't admit that this is a thing. I might be in a temporary state of feeling sadness, but I'm not gonna put a label on it and reify it. He didn't say that, but I'm saying that. I'm not gonna make it into a real ontological thing. I'm just gonna say like, yeah, no, it doesn't exist. I don't believe in it. I can't get it. And there is some like positive util in that. You know what I mean? Like when he explains it like that, and this is what I always say with Tate. He'll say like dumb shit, but when he actually unpacks it, he makes a shocking amount of sense. Unless he's talking about sex trafficking. But beyond that, he actually can unpack stuff in a good way.
I agree to an extent. Like I do think that like the mind is an extremely powerful thing, and if you dwell or you think like if you think something is wrong with you, then like you can manifest those, especially with mental conditions. Like I imagine that has a pretty powerful effect. But like this is clearly anecdotal. But one of the, I guess, things against that, I could say, so like this was like, I don't know, I was in my 20s at some point. This is purely anecdotal, but I was going through a tough time. I like lost some family members, some fallout with some friends, and like transition thing at work. So it was like a bunch of shit was just basically hitting all at once. And I was just in like the dumps, and I didn't realize it. I was just like, yeah, I'm sad or whatever, right? I wouldn't even put the word, because I used to be one of those people that was like, therapies for pussies, right? Like straight up. And then I had spoken to a couple of friends, and one of my friends was like, it sounds like you're depressed. Like I went and had dinner with them or whatever, and she's like, yeah, your demeanor, like everything is just the way you're talking, and she like has a history of it's not depression, it's what's the one where you have like high highs and manic depression, I think,
like,
where you have
like bipolar.
I think
not
you
bipolar.
Yeah,
like
I think that
borderline.
Are you talking about
maybe,
because the
but
manic depressive stuff is usually bipolar.
Okay, then maybe not. But regardless, but I spoke to her, and then I also spoke to another friend who then had suggested, and it was the first time in my head that it actually clicked that like depression was even a possibility, and it was like an understandable depression. Like looking back, like again, a lot of shit was happening. It was, but I never put that label to the emotion until somebody had suggested it. But so the reason I think it sounds like it's in your favor, but I feel like it's a little bit more contradictory, because I feel like, well, if I can admit that I felt this thing and I recognized it once somebody had suggested like what it could be, that's what put it in perspective. But it still clearly existed. So there is some util, but also if you're like of a certain, whether it's a chemical imbalance or like persistent or it's temporary, I do feel like there's like, I don't know how much it ultimately would impact things.
I mean, this is what I'm thinking, and I'm only coming to this now that you're talking. This is a new thought that I'm having, but I think, because like, if you ever talk to old people, not all old people, but a lot of times they're like, if you have like anxiety or depression or whatever, they're like, oh, you just gotta stick it through, and they'll just say these like thought-terminating cliches, and they're like, a lot of them like don't seem to even believe that like a depression is like a real thing. I don't think that's healthy. I think the key is almost like gaslighting yourself. You have to acknowledge, and I think Andrew Tate does when he was like talked and pressed on this. He acknowledged that depression is a thing. He's just like, for myself, I'm not going to use that label. So you have to have the knowledge that inside you're like, yeah, I would probably meet the qualifications of depression, and depression is like a real thing. But then I think it's also healthy to have that balance where you're like, but I'm not going to believe in it for myself. Why would I take on that label? Why would I take on a label that's going to, like, in a Nietzschean sense, like, take away my fucking power? You know what I mean?
I would see it more as like a stigma that you might not want to create. Because if you tell somebody that you have depression, or you tell them you have anxiety or whatever, like I feel like, you know, just people's own preconceived notions or whatever, and societally, like, they may not necessarily look down on you, but they might pity you, or they might look at you differently, and I think that fear is very real.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, it's more of a self-preservation thing on Tate's part, but that's what I would add.
Real quick, can I just put a bow tie on what I thought we were having earlier confluence?
If it's a quick bow tie, I want to talk about mental illness now. Okay.
So basically, the bow tie is that because of the Zeno's error paradox, I'm sympathetic to the idea that time must be continuous, because if it's discrete, motion would be impossible. But he's saying that basically you can recover Einstein's general relativity, where gravity is a result of space-time curvature, from we can reconcile that with quantum physics if you include stochasticity in it. So if you say quantum physics is
you cut out Kirk
Does that
at
make
the end
sense?
there. You cut out at the very
So
end.
if quantum physics is stochastic, you can reconcile it with general relativity. Does that make sense?
No, the only context I know stochastic is like, yeah, I need that defined better. Like, I have a loose understanding, mainly from hearing about from stochastic terrorism. So what does this mean? I don't know it in a technical enough way to.
Indeterministic.
Okay.
Not deterministic.
So like non-causal, would that be the same thing, basically?
No, not non-causal, because causal can be non-deterministic, right? Causal just means that an event
So why
is
do they call it
responsible for another
stochastic
event.
terrorism? I know it's a bit of an aside, but
Well, anyway,
that would be like
I
what
don't
you're
know,
doing
but
isn't directly causal.
Do you understand the concept that you could reconcile Einstein's general relativity with quantum physics if quantum physics is indeterministic?
Maybe I don't know. I don't have a dog in the fight, to be honest with you, Kirk.
Do you understand the concept? Like, did the words make sense?
The words make sense. Do I grok it? Not in a
Okay,
gay
yes.
AI way, but in like I don't know if I grok it. Okay, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, you can watch the video I sent in philosophy section.
I can, inshallah.
I was curious. Do you have I was reading the first 4
Based
pages
comment,
of the
Ivor, by the way. A comment only you and me will get. We're mental illness coded now. Okay, I want to hear if you have thoughts on mental illness, Kirk. I want to hear those.
Well, I was curious about your perspective on the analytic-synthetic distinction.
No, we're talking about mental illness. Is depression a real thing? Okay, that's way more interesting than physics or philosophy. Okay, it just is. You must have some thoughts, Kirk. As a proud autistic non-binary person, I almost said man.
It is kind of, there is a little bit of philosophy there. Like, is depression a real thing? There's some philosophical.
Right, I'm gonna Kirk you, Kirk.
Like,
You should be interested in this conversation because you're interested in philosophy, and this ties into philosophy of mind, and so you should actually like this conversation and want to participate in it. If you think about it.
okay, but I kind of want to talk about the analytic-synthetic.
It doesn't feel so good, does it, Kirk? It doesn't really always map on how you'd think it would.
Yeah, but you're not interested in physics despite it being deeply philosophical.
You're not interested in this mental illness discussion despite it being deeply philosophical.
I am. It's just I kind of want to talk. Well, can you just answer about your perspective on the analytic-synthetic real quick? And then I'll talk about it.
I didn't even know about this till I read part of the essay, and heard what Brandon said. So if I'm understanding it right, I think I agree. Like, if we define a unicorn as something that has one horn, I think that's a true statement. And from the first page of the thing I read, I think that is true in all, if I'm understanding it right, which again is a big if, that's always true in every universe because it's definitional. It's not really tied to reality. So if we're defining a unicorn as something that has one horn, or in the classic example, a bachelor is an unmarried man, then that's like a statement I think that's always true, and it's independent of whether it doesn't need to exist in reality for it to be true.
Yeah, but what I was reading was that Quan argued in I read the first 4 pages. He was saying that basically the reason that it's not analytic is because yes, the concept of a bachelor can denote unmarried man, but that's only because we form the concepts of unmarried and man, and so it's contingent on basically how language users use it. And so because it's contingent on how language users use it, it's not this thing that's independent of experience. We learn about it from experience by learning about the concept unmarried, learning about the concept man, and how linguistic users define those.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say it's like you're not semantically trapped, but I guess you're limited or constrained by the language itself. It's like the language points to specific things and it can't be anything else. Therefore, it would it be a self-defining thing? Is that?
Yeah, it's almost like a truism, I guess, right? Like it's definitional.
Right.
If you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying then I think you would reject the traditional analytic synthetic distinction, as I understand, because as I understand, the traditional analytic synthetic distinction is that analyticity means that it's true. It's kind of true no matter what linguistic users agree it means.
We got a $20 donation to mute the again. I can't. Well, it's $20. Okay, mute the gay Jew. Okay, I gotta say it for $20. Okay, thank you, K2. Kirk, sadly.
Well, I don't mind talking about whatever. I guess on that point, fuck. Now he's muted.
Yeah, now that Kirk's gone. Okay, well, because he'll come back in 20 minutes, and then he's gonna start talking about that again. Like he's like a train. We stopped him momentarily, so might as well talk about something else.
I don't know about this distinction thing. I have to look at the concept or look at that video. But
I want to read Ivor's thing really quick, okay, before it drops off. Actually, well, no, you finish your thing because I actually want to talk to you about what Ivor just said.
It's one sentence. If I remember later, I'll ask Kirk about it. But I would be curious what the argument would be for what the experiential component of that would be. Then.
I'll let Kirk deal with that because I only read the first page and I got bored of the essay that he was reading today. So Ivor says, so this is about stochastic terrorism. You know what that is, right, Testy?
Yeah, it's like plausible deniability of statements. And you're like, somebody should do something about this.
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
It's never explicitly said, yeah.
Yeah, and it's where you're doing an action or you're making a statement that even if the statement's fine, even if you don't say someone should do something, there's certain things that you could do that will cause an outcome to happen without ever being directly tied. So I think So Ivor says, I think the concept of stochastic terrorism that you can predict that the combined impact on all incitements on all followers will be non-zero in total, even though you can't pin an exact act on an exact comment, kind of like damage from climate change. If the street light next to my house is outdated and uses more power than needed, you can't pin any climate disaster on that exact street light. You can still quantify the impact. And so I've come around on this. I used to not believe in stochastic terrorism, but now I think I kind of do. I mean, it's a very loaded phrase.
Well, it's essentially, it's a little, I think it's intentionally nebulous because one person could say something is stochastic terrorism and another person could say it's not. And I think the ambiguity of statements like that is part of where it lives. It lives in that gray area.
Right, and that's the thing. Like the term itself, I think is like a super cuck term because then it's like anything that you don't like, you could just say like Ben Shapiro is doing stochastic terrorism, and it sounds so like, oh my gosh, terror! Like it's such loaded language. But if we take away the language, it is like a true thing to say. And so me and Ivor got into a fight about this a while back about the account Libs of TikTok. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, of course. Fuck them.
Okay. See, and I kind of like Libs of TikTok. Okay,
They have doxed so many people.
There's been things they've done that I don't think are good. Like the Home Depot one. That's where I really started losing some respect. I remember when Trump, the assassination, I think the first assassination attempt, and then there was someone on Facebook that had posted.
They falsely accused somebody, or
no, it wasn't a false accusation. A random person on Facebook had said like, "Oh, if only the shooter was a better shot." Some like boomer ass, I think it's a bad comment. I don't think you should talk like that. But They said this on their Facebook. Their Facebook was public, I guess. And then someone found their workplace. So not Libs of TikTok yet. Some random guy and is like filming them in like a Home Depot. She's like a cashier and he's like, did you say this, that you wanted our president to die? Blah, blah, blah. He uploads the video. Libs of TikTok signal boost this video, reposts it on the Libs of TikTok thing. And then of course, then all hell breaks out and everyone's like going after this like minimum wage Home Depot employee who just said like, oh, you should have been a better shot. Like, it was just like, it wasn't even like that. It's not like Destiny level comments even, right? Like, it's so like milk toast, right? And I can't remember if she ended up losing her job, but like there's a massive crusade against this, again, a fucking minimum wage, like 40-year-old terminal Home Depot cashier. You know, it's like, are these the people we need to go after? Are these the enemies? Really? Like, just let this fucking boomer ass person say their boomer ass thoughts on Facebook. And so that, I think that's a little like crazy when you're punching down like that. But other things, this is where the stochastic terrorism comes in. So the Boston Children's Hospital used to do, maybe they've changed it now. Ivor might know. They were doing gender affirming surgeries.
I'm gonna fucking flip out if this is. I know this.
If you flip out, you're on what I'm saying. You're wrong, because me and Ivor looked into this extensively. Okay, they were doing surgeries on minors. That is a thing that they were doing. The Boston Children's Hospital. Yes, they were doing.
They were doing. I believe some mastectomies were performed. There were
yes.
No
okay. Okay. We agree. We agree.
Okay. And then, yes. Okay. So that did occur. All right. All right.
Okay. So that's the thing. So,
and yes, I also disagree with that. I think it's fucked up.
Right. So the question is, I guess, so Libs of TikTok points this out. Then they get like a bomb threat at the hospital. And this caused, if I recall correctly, me and Ivor's big debate on stochastic terrorism, because yeah, sure, that bomb threat was probably the result of, you can't pin it on Libs of TikTok, but probably accounts like that signal boosting this to everybody. It's not like she's called for this, obviously. But then my argument is, well, even if that's true, they were doing it on minors. This is something that a lot of people, myself included, did not know. I didn't know the Boston Children's Hospital is performing gender surgeries on people. Again, not bottom surgery, but mastectomies, which are not reversible, right? And so it's like, that's an important thing to point out. And if someone does something untoward, I don't think that's Libs of TikTok's fault. In lesser examples, like the Home Depot one, it's like you have maybe some moral culpability if you're doing an action and you have a big enough channel and you know that by pointing out this like small nobody that you're gonna like send an army of like 1 million angry conservatives to that person. I get that. But with something like the Boston Children's Hospital, it's like, what should she have done? Not point it out? There's almost a moral duty to point it out.
Well, sure. Let me, maybe I can, this is how I would sort of see it. Because if I were to hear, let's say this broke as like a news story, this was being reported at CNN, then, you know, you sort of, you state the facts sort of as they are. And one of my big issues, I guess, with a lot of these outrage TikTok things, or sorry, not TikTok, I haven't seen the tweet, but this tweet, if they said something more along the effect of, again, it's like if they said like, hey, somebody should do something about this, not even that explicitly, but if they said like, this is disgusting, it's abhorrent, it's a crime against like humanity and nature, and like I do feel like depending on the language that's used and how it's presented, because I mean, in this case, I'm taking it at face value because Libs of TikTok has also posted tons of information that is just straight up either wrong or it's like misrepresented. But let's say that they represented at least the facts fairly, or not fairly, but like the facts were correct. Then yeah, I do think that you could still make a case that it is stochastic terrorism if, like again, depending on the language that was used, if it is like being ratcheted up in some way of like, this is like absolutely disgusting, like somebody needs to do something, like that type of thing. Like, would you disagree? Or
yeah, I mean, well, obviously with like anything that's like false information or anything that's a direct call, I would say is bad. But yeah, when something is big enough,
terrorism. So that's, we're talking specifically in sort of this gray area, right?
Right. And I guess, yeah, like what, I don't know, maybe I missed your I guess if you did directly answer it in the, at least in the Boston case, did they do something wrong? Bomb threat happens after they signal boost this stuff, but they're right. And you and me would both agree this is something untoward that's happening at a publicly funded hospital that gets government money and shit.
Yeah, like, yeah, I 100%. Like, I don't think you can be held responsible for crazy people. Like, but so, yeah, like, you know, whoever the bomb threats or if people showed up or whatever, Like, I don't think you can control that, because I feel like people can have that same sort of reaction if they just heard the information from the news. Like, this is kind of the, I guess, the line I'm trying to draw. Like, let's just separate the facts from like the rhetoric, because the rhetoric is what's considered like the stochastic terrorism part of it.
Right. Okay. So is that rhetoric wrong? Because I think and this is what me and Ivor also disagreed about. The framing was they're doing it on kids, and I don't think she was, so she wasn't precise in saying it was, mastectomies, and it was only, I think, on 17-year-olds when we checked the website.
That's also, yeah.
And so it's like, and I'm like, well, that technically is a kid, but then I also agree, I wouldn't use the kid in a different, if a 7-year-old like killed someone, I wouldn't call him a kid. That, like, so I would like load the language myself, depending on if I'm trying to draw sympathy toward the 17-year-old or draw ire toward the 17-year-old. So I understand the framing is a little, but at the same time, if it's a moral thing, is it bad to use rhetoric that is going to ratchet up the temperature? Because you want people to be mad. People should be mad that the Boston Children's Hospital was performing gender-altering surgeries on minors. They should be mad about that, right?
Well, okay, but I don't know. Like, I feel like you would at least be able to see this, because even what you're saying, like, and this is even why, I somewhat rolled my eyes when you first mentioned it, because I was like, because I've had this conversation with conservatives where I'm like, they will straight up just be like, yeah, they're cutting off their their balls, and like, not like, maybe not that explicit, but you know what I mean, like they haven't looked into it, and they're just running with this. And I feel like, for one, I find like, if that is the danger, like if you say they are performing gender affirming surgeries, the very first thing that pops in people's minds is that it is bottom surgeries, and they maybe have the imagery that it's being done on like 8-year-olds or something. So yes, like, by strict letter of the law, or a strict letter of, I don't know, just fucking language or whatever, you're not, like, at the very least you'd agree that you're misrepresenting it, and in a way that is, because you can understand how the average person would interpret those words. So it is not being presented honestly. It is being presented specifically in order to create an emotional response.
It is, but I guess, is that bad when it's something that one should have an emotional response over?
I think an emotional response should be proportionate. You should, like, maybe your anger and your rage is justified, but if you put in the caveats that this was done on, I don't remember the exact number. I was trying to track it down, because I think it was like maybe 10 to 12 or something. Like, it was also, but regardless, like, people could also say, well, it doesn't fucking matter, like, it happened, right? But I do think that if you presented some of those caveats, I do think that it, like, changes the context of the emotional response that people will probably have. It's like if you call somebody like a I don't know, when people are quick to like call somebody a pedophile or something like that, right? And then it's like, well, it was like, actually it was like a 20-year-old that like texted a 17-year-old or whatever, whatever. And then it's like, okay, like, yeah, like, legally speaking, like, yeah, it's obviously statutory, or like, or not, maybe not statutory, but like, it's obviously illegal. It could be grooming, it could be this, it could be that, but it's worlds apart from if it's like a 40-year-old talking to like a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's important context. I don't know, but if you just said, hey, this guy's a pedophile, like, people are gonna be like, yeah, fuck them, we want to fucking kill this guy. So
I guess, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm of two minds.
I feel like I'm trying to be reasonable. I think this is why
you are being reasonable. I just don't. I don't know if it's something that is like bad enough. Like let's say
I can make you feel better and say that the left does this as well. I don't think it's exclusive.
No, I'm not. No, I'm trying to figure out if this is a wrong thing to do at all. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not saying the right doesn't do this, or obviously they do this, and if they're not being the most precise. I'm trying to figure out if morally you have some moral obligation to be more precise. If the goal is a just goal and you're trying to ratchet people up for something that's just, like in your example with like the 20-year-old, it's like, the 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, I don't even really know if they're doing anything wrong there. You know what I mean? Like morally speaking.
Morally, I agree with you. Yeah.
Right. So then that's why. So then that's why I think it would be untoward to be like, that guy's a PDF file, right? Because that's like, I feel like you're going after a moral crusade and you're changing the details in like a severe way for something that really isn't even that morally, like, significant, I suppose. If it was like, let's say it was somebody who did something, let's say it's like a 20-year-old who did something to like a 10-year-old, but let's say it wasn't, I don't want to say anything TOS, but let's say it wasn't like penetrative, but it was just like something else that's like, the act. Like, would I feel the need to clarify that? You know what I mean? Like, or would I just say that he like raped someone who he shouldn't have done that to? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but
like
this is what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
feel like I would need to. I would let people be as mad as they want. He did something that's so bad that I'm like, I don't need to clarify and be like, well, don't worry, he didn't do this action. You know what I mean? So if something is like bad enough, do we have to like clarify that?
Well, I mean, I kind of agree, because this is what I'm saying is that if you were to present it and not without these details, right? All we have is the information of that, like, this person is, I mean, in that case, maybe ages would be very easy to say, but like, yeah, like if something is as bad as you think it, like, it can't just simply be factual. Again, this is I think why stochastic terrorism is a tricky thing, because you can speak facts, you can still be being factual, but it's the way that the information is being presented. I know, and this isn't a strict like category. Like I mean, another example is like the Trump's rhetoric for like Jan 6th, right? Where when he said like fight, otherwise, or you have to fight like hell, otherwise you're not going to have a country left, right? That was interpreted by a lot of people on the left as being like, well, it's a call to like violence and it's all these things, right?
Right.
And it's like, and then the people on the right are like, no, he's just like, he's saying it's the right to protest peacefully, right? And he even clarified that he said the words, we're going to march down there and protest peacefully or whatever.
Yeah.
And but then on like his Truth Social, like I think the day before the event, he said something like, it's going to be like a wild night, or it's going to be a wild event or something, like, and then people are like, well, clearly he's trying to like ratchet up his, so because that I don't know, in the context of like stochastic terrorism, there's a lot of rhetoric surrounding the statements of that day, right? And it's like, maybe that's a little bit more of a gray area, because yeah, I don't know, because you're talking about a specific situation, you're not like talking about like a future potential event, you're talking about a past event. So yeah, maybe that's not a good analogy to draw to.
I mean, it's fair. It's just like, yeah, with the Trump one, it feels a bit different. It feels a bit different because then it's like, is that a morally egregious enough act that you want to ratchet people up? Is that, you know what I mean? Probably not. So like the act itself is in question.
Yeah.
The section's very mad at this.
Oh, I was.
I'm assuming I'm assuming he's more on my side, but he thinks I'm being too cucked.
Maybe. I'll let you get in. I just wanted to say really quick that if you call somebody like a PDF, I would have that. My mind would. This is one of the reasons why I think it's one of the worst things you can call somebody, especially unsubstantiated. I think pedojacketing is like one of the most disgusting things that people do, and they just throw it out casually because they're like, it's just the internet, like who cares? But I'm like, no, that's like the worst thing you could be labeled in society. And so if you are going to make that accusation, I am always like, I need to see like proof, or you need to substantiate. So if you were to say, hey, this person is that thing, my mind would go to the worst case scenario. One, because I feel like you are pretty fair with representing things, but two, it intentionally evokes a certain emotional response, and for good reason, right? So just like the other case, if you're saying, hey, they're doing gender reassignments surgeries on children, that to me, my mind does go to the worst case scenario. So I can say that like it could be, it doesn't feel honest. It does feel like you're misrepresenting it because you understand how people are going to receive that.
Yes, and if I'm having this, if I was, well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess if I ran the Libs of TikTok account, it might be a moral question of how, because when I've told this story before, I do mention that, it was 17-year-olds and it was just, this and that. Like I am careful to mention this at some point in the conversation because I do think it's important. But I think they also stopped doing this, so I also feel like I'm not compromising anything by doing that. But if it is something if it was still going on, then I do want like maximum outrage in some ways. You know what I mean? I understand it might feel dishonest, and I'm not really sure how I think about it myself. Because if you frame it in a certain way, it's like less people are going to care about it. And if we both agree this is a bad enough issue, and the framing and what you're saying isn't a lie, it is.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. I understand how you can put enough of the pieces together to like reach that conclusion. But then you are making like a consequentialist argument at the end of the day, because then you're saying, well, the ends sort of do justify the means. Like it doesn't kind of quite matter, because if we agree on the conclusion, it doesn't really matter how we got there. But so yeah, I mean, there is an argument to be made there. I just don't know if I fully have drank the Kool-Aid on that, because I've complained about it before. It's one of the reasons I hate opinion news, because to me it feels like a sitcom. It's like you know, if I fucking see Rachel Maddow up there, or even that fucking idiot on CNN, I can't remember his name, but it's like they're telling you this with their brow like furrowed, and they're laughing, or they're angry, like they're clearly angry. It's like they're telegraphing to you. They're being factual. They're giving you factual information, but they are signaling how you should feel about it. And so I think that's just my broader issue with the way that people, one, present information, but two, take information in, is that we are very susceptible to like how it is being presented, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think in most cases I would agree with you. It's just in, yeah, and I guess it is a consequentialist argument. I suppose it is, but I guess the other thing is, like, the difference too, and I don't want to be this guy, but like the with the PDF example, that's also like that. Not only like, there's a reason your mind jumps to the worst thing, because that's what that word normally means, right? Like, that's the definition of the word, right?
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah,
someone
for sure.
boning a 17-year-old is not definitionally pedophilia,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So it's
I'm
like,
not,
so
I'm
it's
not like,
it's also
yeah.
a false framing. So it's like, we'd almost have to have an example of where what you're saying is true, but it's just, you're maybe saying it in like a charged way, and would we think that is wrong? Because with our current example, it's like, well, it's also, not only is it like charged, but it's also not even like technically accurate. So like, what's an example where we would both disagree on something, we both think this is bad, but you're saying it in a way that's maybe like too far and is like unhealthy?
I don't have an example off the top of my head, and again, I don't think that the J6 like thing is very like applicable. Well, I don't know, like, what's an issue on the left or the right that often gets like framed a certain way by the other side, or it's used as like a bludgeon? I think that maybe is a good.
Oh, maybe actually, okay, maybe this is a good one. When the right will call the left like groomers and stuff.
Right.
Where it's like when they're
like,
right,
yeah.
if they're like teaching stuff to like kids, they're teaching like a kid about like non-binary when the kid's 5. Now I think that's fucked up, and I have used the word groomer myself in these contexts. But I understand that also, if you call somebody a groomer, the implication is that you are going to do something sexually untoward to them.
Right, you are a danger to them. They should.
Am I muted?
It might be. I don't know. Has it been 20
Hey,
minutes?
I forgot all about you, Kurt.
I think it's been 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Has it been? We got it. Wait, we run a tight ship. Okay. How do I see timestamp? 6:09. Oh yeah, it has been 20 minutes. Kirk's on the ball.
So
I can see your rage page.
What was the thing you were talking about?
Adjacent to rage page, to be honest with you. The age play stuff.
Well, what are your thoughts on like stochastic terrorism? I guess more broadly, we're just kind of trying to. I've said already. I think it's intentionally a little bit nebulous. It's hard to pin down, and we're just trying to think of like, I guess, what some examples, or maybe how we see that actually play out in the real world, or when is it?
I think there's a concept of stochastic terrorism. Like, if you, in the sense, like, so if I imply heavily that someone is, well, actually, it's really hard for me to think, because, like, for example, like, if Vosh is saying that Republicans are fascist and they're going to destroy democracy, and then he also says, like, you can do violence against fascists, the logical implication of that is, like, terrorism. But I don't even know if that's stochastic terrorism. That just seems like regular, like, advocacy for violence.
Well, if I could, actually, maybe this is a good example, because I think Vosh has said this. This was, do you guys remember the, like, trans genocide discourse?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, well, that's a good example, because like people are getting ratcheted up, and I think Vosh was actually part of this, where he was saying that, like, well, because of the Second Amendment, and this has also happened with like civil rights movements and stuff with Black Panthers, and so this isn't like a new concept, but this idea that, like, well, hey, just remember 2A exists, like, like, they're coming for your rights, they want to take away this, they want to take away that, like, and so it is to me, yes, that heavily implies, hey, violence is coming, be prepared. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation is that we need to preempt them because they are already aggressing upon us, and therefore this is already justified.
And I knew trans people at the time that sincerely believed that there was going to be a trans genocide coming. Like, I would talk to these people.
Demon Mama and, like, some, like, other bigger, like, trans creators as well were also pushing this. And ratcheting, I think fear especially is a very powerful motivator. And, like, I guess on the just to be a little empathetic to that side, like I do think a lot of the policies and crackdowns and stuff, like just access to medical care, like yeah, I would see that as like deeply concerning from my perspective, from like whatever secular type of thing. But yes, I think that is a far cry from saying that they are going to like come for you and destroy you. like so maybe that's a decent example. I thought that shit was super fucked up. So,
but then I will say I also got very annoyed with Michael Knowles at his famous like CPAC speech where he said that we need to eradicate trans ideology from public life entirely. And I understand he said ideology, and that was what he's like, hey, I just said ideology. I don't think we should like do and he clarified this, but he doubled down. He said it again at like a different event. And it's like, he has to understand that the word eradicate isn't exactly helping to like ratchet the temperature down if you're using that word. Like that's an example where it's like, that's technically what he's saying is technically fine, like in the pure meaning of the words, right? Like, well, but
yeah, that's actually a very good example. That's a good example on the other side, because same with like Vosh again. At least from I saw a clip. I don't know if it was Vosh specifically. It was some lefty creator, but it was 100% like this. Hey, remember 2A exists, and they are definitely like encroaching upon your rights, and they want you dead, and like or they want you to not exist. They want to remove you from society. Like, yes, like you could make some of those arguments that like they don't want you to exist within society, but they don't mean they're going to come and like genocide you. Like it's a trans genocide.
Brandon
they could just be like.
Brandon says, "Hey, guns exist and Confluence lives somewhere." Just saying.
Right? That's the
Brandon stochastic terrorisming me. I've always wanted someone to stochastically terrorize me.
Isn't this kind of like the "oh, would someone rid me of this priest" type argument?
Maybe I'm not. What is that argument?
Like the first time I heard someone mention stochastic terrorism, they brought up this phrase, "oh, would someone rid me of this priest?" And then that's those. I guess that would be the correlation between those two terms. The first time I heard it, someone brought up that phrase to me.
Oh, that's fair. Because I've always like, for me the simplest thing is like, well, somebody should do something about this guy. That's like the most simple statement. It's like, well, I'm not saying anything specifically that should be done to this person, and I'm not even saying that a specific action that should be done, but somebody should do something. Like, this is a problem.
The problem is there's such a blurry line between that and just actual terrorism, or actual call for terrorism, basically.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've talked about this before, but legally, it's very much not, though, is the problem. Like, you can say a lot of shit. I was surprised by this, looking up like the stare decisis of incitement. That you can.
I know, but I'm saying
SCOTUS has ruled that you can say stuff that everyone else would think. Yeah, colloquially, sure, but legally, it's like you can Fed post. You can like fucking Fed max, and like it's usually fine. Weirdly, like I mean, the platforms will take you down and stuff, but. And maybe the cops might like talk to you about it, but to actually get like arrested, you have to like say you're gonna do like something actionable, you know?
Yeah,
like inciting is like very a hard standard.
Real quick, Tessie, did you say you had something about what we were talking about earlier?
Oh, I had asked. I don't remember the terminology that you used, but it was some. We were talking about the experiential. What was it like? All bachelors were single, and I sort of made the point that it was like, well, that you're sort of semantically like locked in a sense. And then you said, I believe the thing that you were saying about I was asking like, what could you point to as an experiential like reference point to substantiate something like that, or in that realm, I guess.
Well, first you have to have the concept married, and you have to have the concept men. So first you have to experience the concept married and concept men before the linguistic community can decide that bachelor means a married man. Because first you have to experience something before you can say
just to ask, or just to clarify really quick, because obviously you don't have to be a man and you don't have to be married. So when you say experience a concept, like how do you experience a concept, I guess?
So I think that we have access to an experience, and then we conceptualize it. But then these concepts weave together. So it's like the way to form the concept bachelor is first you have to look at a man marry someone else, and that's how you form the concept married man. And then the opposite of that, where you have an unmarried man, that's when you form the concept bachelor. But first, you have to see a man marry someone else before you can form the concept bachelor, because an unmarried man only makes sense if there is such a thing as a married man.
Good to see you,
Sure,
Egg.
sure. I think I'm with you, but then do these not strictly exist in like maybe not a literary sense, but like this is like just definitions, like still like
Yeah.
So
But I'm saying the definitions are contingent on how language users use it, and if another community of language users decides to use the word bachelor to refer to not unmarried man but something else, they could do that. So I'm saying it's not like this absolute truth. It's contingent on how language users use it.
okay.
Yeah.
And I think
I
you
would.
got muted before your broader point because you were saying something else after that.
Well, that was kind of the broader point, but I would recommend looking up on YouTube the Quine's Two Dogmas of Empiricism, because there's like a video that, or reading it, because I've only read four pages of the article. And I've watched some videos about it, so I'm not super familiar with the argument. But from what I've read and from what I've listened to, I do find the argument convincing. But it's the Two Dogmas of Empiricism.
Okay, cool. I'll make a note of it here. I'll check that out. Also, thank you, Big Soda, for sending me that thing.
Yeah, and you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, like every time I hear this term of like people calling for violence, I generally will hear this term.
Is it from like a book or a Shakespeare play or something, or what?
It's back from like King Henry. Like King Henry, he made a statement of like, "Oh, would someone please rid me of this troublesome priest?" And then like one of his knights heard that and then acted on it and took out the priest, but it wasn't something that King Henry truly meant, and it ended up causing him more trouble than.
Yeah, it is actually interesting. Yeah.
Wild concept, but it's like every time someone calls for others to come to arms, I hear this fucking quote.
Yeah, and like in some regard, like this, people will also say these things when, like, after committing an act of violence, they'll say that, well, I did it because so and so told me so, right? Like, I mean, every time there's a shooting or something, everyone's hoping it's the left or hoping it's the right so that they can get their political brownie points. But like, people who have actually committed acts of violence will sometimes cite these things of like, this is who inspired me, right? And then, or so it's like, well, it was something within their words, and obviously, like, I would say they're mentally unwell if you're willing to commit mass atrocity. But yeah, like I guess even I would say like maybe Alex Jones is a good, I mean, he actually lost in court. If there was ever, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but if there was ever a case for like defamation, like I feel like Alex Jones 100% deserved what he got. I'm sure a lot of people.
I don't think he did.
Whoa, 100%.
Dude, it was. He did.
That's
the worst.
Crazy.
He was. I can't tell if you're being.
He joked about it a couple times, and
I'm being serious.
He deserved to have the biggest fine in human
history.
history.
Joke about it a couple times.
He said it was a few times. It was a few times. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say. I'm serious. I'm 10 toes down. I'm not rage baiting you. I think he should have owed them something. He didn't kill those kids. They're taking it on the wrong person. They're going after somebody who just said a couple times that, oh, this is a false flag.
What are you talking about? Dude, he directed like harassment directly to the he doxed family members like live on his show and called them crisis actors like less than a week after they had just had like the most tragic.
I understand, but two things can be true at once. What he did was bad, and he's apologized for it. He doesn't deserve to have his whole life ruined.
It was demonstrated in court that he also kept these articles up after he said that he had taken them down. He lied multiple times. He directed harassment specifically to some guy who started like a charity fund in the name of like the kids that died, which is one of the dads. And like, I don't know. Like, I feel like he resisted he just thought First Amendment would protect him the entire time, and he was negligent even when he said he would respond.
But do you think
lied.
that fine is fair? however many, like an impossible amount of money.
He is a human piece of shit. They should have. I'm glad that he's bankrupt and that hopefully he disappears into some fucking dark hole. Having said that, I think he is highly entertaining.
It doesn't depend on how much money you have. It depends on how much money the other person, or how much money is owed. I guess.
Oh shit, that's the guy who sounds like Big Soda.
That is also
crazy. Like like tens of billions of dollars. Like probably one of the biggest fines levied at a media company.
Have you seen the lawyer tearing him apart in court? Dude, it is one of the most.
I've seen clips
epic,
from the trial.
It's one of the most epic videos where he literally gets evidence. So he just didn't cooperate with court orders. Like, it wasn't part of the judgment as well. It wasn't just like the defamation side of it. It was the fact that he told the court that he had submitted all of his text messages and private messages. He didn't, and it was requested for months. And then what happened was his lawyer.
That's how you lose everything.
Well, Alex Jones's lawyer accidentally sent all of the communications, like all of the logs, text messages, emails, all these things. He sent them as like an upload to like a Google Drive type of thing to the other lawyer, and the other lawyer had only requested like some specific thing. And so the other lawyer, because he's obligated to, because he understood that what was sent, it was like gigabytes of files. He understands, like, you're not allowed to use that. It's like improperly obtained.
Yeah, it's inadmissible in court.
Yes, so he has a duty to inform the other lawyer. So he sent the other lawyer, like their office. He told them, "Hey, there's been an error. Like, this is not what you were supposed to send me." The other lawyers did not respond, so a 30-day like limit had passed, and after that 30 days, it was now admissible. So it was like gross negligence on the part, and then they got in further trouble because some of the stuff when they started going through it was stuff that they had previously requested, and they said that they couldn't find. So the judge also was fucking pissed off.
Not sue his lawyer and put all of that on him.
The interesting thing about a lot of these legal cases is it seems like every legal case I hear about how dumb the lawyer is, and I don't know how much of that is truthful and how much of that is exaggerated to court processes. You hear this a lot in like Trump cases. You hear this a lot in like depositions and stuff like that.
That's fair, and I will be the first to say it's like Sam Hyde. Like, I think Sam Hyde, not on the same level at all. I think Sam Hyde's kind of a piece of shit, but I also find him extremely.
Why?
Alex Jones is very entertaining. But like, as a human being, I despise him.
Why do you? Well, now I'm mad about two things. First of all, the fine is just too big. I don't know why. I'm gonna say something that's gonna make you mad, Testy. The parents are being greedy. Okay, they're being greedy.
Bro, they're fucking
being greedy.
They're like children were like.
I understand. I know. And how many millions? How many millions is gonna bring them back?
Oh my god! You have a mass harassment.
He's just gonna file for bankruptcy.
Empathetic for 2 seconds. Imagine the worst fucking day of your life, and then you have like massive spotlight on you, telling you that you're faking it and that you're a crisis actor and that your kid isn't even really dead and like and everything.
I'm fine with them getting some amount of money. I just don't. I think the amount of money they were asking for. Just for me, I would feel gross in that situation, and I understand I'm not in that situation, but this is years later. Someone else took your kids away. It wasn't Alex Jones. Yes, he caused added harassment and added strife, so fine, go after him for some amount of money, but to be like, no, we need like this many millions of dollars each, I just think is like, I would feel weird profiting that much or trying to profit that much over my kid's death. I think that's fucking weird, man.
I mean, the goal was the money. The goal was to destroy InfoWars. The goal was to levy a big enough fine to bankrupt them.
Confluence, have you ever had any pets?
Yeah, many pets.
Okay. What
all
was
of them
the
crisis
hardest
actors.
Yeah, what was the hardest death that you've experienced with one of them?
The dog ashes I have beside me.
Yeah.
A beautiful dog.
So,
the best dog.
How did they die? Like, how did they die?
I don't really want to talk about it. Very untoward.
Yeah, so you don't even want to talk about it. Let's suppose it did get out, and then I accuse you here and now of you were the cause of its death.
Right.
You'd be pretty mad, right? And this
I
is
would-
how an attorney would approach it, and so they're able
of course
to
I'd
get
be very
that.
mad, but would I then let's say then you apologize about this and you're like, you know what, yeah, I shouldn't have said this is unhinged. Would I want to ruin your life over you saying that? I don't think so.
But would you have the right to?
But that's not really the
I would
question.
hope
Obviously,
not.
yeah, like I would hope not, but obviously in this case, I mean, I'm not saying that the court thing was unfairly, like it obviously is legal what happened. I just think it hits me as a bit untoward that they're asking for this much money. If Alex Jones was somehow responsible for Sandy Hook, then I would understand. I'd be like, yeah, like if the guy's still alive, obviously ruin his life, kill him, right, in a legal way.
No. If he's responsible for Sandy Hook, that's criminal charges, right? Like this is the big thing. It's civil, so he can just file for bankruptcy. However big of a deal you want to make it, it's ultimately just money. It's just words.
It's just his entire business that he's worked forever for. And now we have The Onion, the least funny organization ever.
No, The Onion has their moments.
They
right?
used to be good. The Onion
They
used to
have
be
their
fire.
moments.
They haven't had a moment in
Everything
10 years. Did you
Hey,
see the first episode when they bought InfoWars? Did you see how cringe that was? You should watch it, Testy. It is the worst comedy you will ever see. And I understand that maybe you're saying I'm biased, but no, watch it. The guy, it's like someone trying to do an Alex Jones impression to like make fun of InfoWars. It is hackneyed. It is jejune. It is just the lowest level of, you and me could write a better skit than this, Testy. If we gave it like 2 days, literally, we could do a better job. Like, it's embarrassing. The Onion is an embarrassment, a shell of its former self. Okay, a layer of its former self, if you will.
Okay, that was fine. That's
How do you
not
write
relevant.
something that isn't gonna come true tomorrow or was true yesterday? Okay, it keeps fucking happening. Babylon B says something and then it fucking comes true, and it's like, okay, now they have not the B.
Yeah, Babylon B.
Yeah.
Babylon B is kind of funny.
They're-
And Onion used
they're
to be
not that
funny.
funny.
Again, Onion from like 9 years ago was like hilarious. Like all the videos that they have on YouTube, they're like fucking gold. So like the Onion used to be incredible.
It winds up being true, so it's just like not a joke. They're just saying facts. However funny it is, they can't do that. They have to make a joke, however shitty it is.
So yeah, and I think
Not
one of the-
jokes anymore. That's just what's happening.
Yeah, well, one of the arguments that was made as well is, and this did happen, is that Alex Jones profited off of their grief as well, because he was
Yeah.
like promoting his like products and his business. Right.
Right, so I'm fine with the lawsuit, right? I don't want you to mishear me. I'm fine with the lawsuit. I'm fine with Alex Jones having to fork over a bunch of money. I'm not fine with, like Big Soda said, like the largest fucking settlement ever on like an individual.
I don't know if it's the largest
No,
settlement
so-
ever.
but- well, here's the thing, though,
Clarified
so-
media.
he's
on
gonna,
like a
he declared-
person, I think it probably is. Like on like
Well,
a big
No,
pharmaceutical
person,
company,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
He never has to pay that money because he declared bankruptcy. Because
I know, but he lost
probably-
everything. He lost all of his InfoWars. He lost everything, right? Like his life is like Jover, you
Yeah,
know?
it ru-
And you
it
seem to think
ruins
that's
that
fine.
credit.
You seem to think you can make
Okay.
one mistake, Testy, and it should
It's
ruin
not-
your entire fucking life because you say some words on fucking
Yeah.
the internet.
Depending on
Jamie
the fucking
Kimmel
mistake,
went from
if you're driving
accusing
drunk and you
MAGA
fucking hit
of
somebody,
organizing
yeah,
Kurds
one mistake
That's
in
not.
your life.
He didn't kill those
Every-
kids,
I
Testy.
understand, but
I don't
you're
think you
saying
do
one
understand.
mistake-
Or you think
you're
that he did
downplaying-
Sandy
you're
Hook.
downplaying-
I think you
you're
think he's
saying
Adam
one
Lanza.
mistake. You're minimizing.
Jamie
like,
Kimmel
one thing.
deserves the same treatment.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I would argue no, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve that same treatment. I don't think anybody deserves this treatment.
I have no sympathy for Alex Jones at all.
Yeah, like
But you can
We're
still
talking about
say
the greatest journalist of the like the 21st
the guy who
century.
exposed Bohemian Grove. But like Tessie, like even though like I have no respect for Destiny after he said the stuff about Big Soda Corey Competour. Is that it? Did I finally learn his name?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I finally got it. Right, I have no sympathy for him, and I think like if the family wanted to somehow sue him if that was possible, I'd be like, great, goated, you know. But I wouldn't
Who are you
say
talking about?
Destiny.
The
No,
when he said-
firefighter.
When
That
he said,
Oh, the
yeah, the
firefighter. Oh,
firefighter, and he was like, oh, and he said a bunch
Yeah,
of bad stuff. I made a video on it, great video, by the way. And I think if he got sued over that, if that was somehow possible, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's fucking goated. But if Destiny was like losing everything, I would be like, okay, you know, especially if he apologized, they'd be like, okay, this is like,
I don't think
this is a little
that's not-
extreme.
To me, that's like not comparable. Like
I'm not saying it's comparable. It's just a situation where I have no sympathy for this person. They deserve consequences.
That's fine.
They don't deserve
Sure.
infinite consequences. Just because someone deserves something bad to happen doesn't mean they deserve like everything to be stripped away from them, I guess is what I'm thinking.
It's
I
not
mean,
infinite
he is breathing
consequences at the
strip. It's not like he
restart.
went
And
to
yeah,
jail.
he's old, but that means he should have known better.
It's infinite consequences. It's not. Yeah, they're not like flogging him, but from what a civil suit can be, it's as far as a civil suit can possibly go.
The punishment outweighs the crime.
We're about to see with the
bet-
Lego case. Lego
I
case
mean-
is fucking crazy.
But dude, you got to go through the Lego drama. I have consumed every.
I gotta get
single
into that.
piece
See,
I've
of
I keep
heard
seeing
bits
it,
and
and I'm like,
pieces.
Almost
now I
24 hours
feel like I've
straight
waited too
of
long,
Lego.
and now there's just too much stuff to watch.
There,
Pesky, if you find a good explanation clip, send it.
Oh,
Send
yeah,
it in
yeah.
the Discord.
play some good summary videos as well. Plus, there has kind of been a resolution of like the backlash was so insane that the company eventually was like forced to settle, or like forced to like at least they're like, hey, we'll talk. You know, they opened
They're
up to,
trying
like,
to settle with Mansell, but Ben
Does
wants
this
to
involve
buy all
Lego?
of the items off Brian
does.
and take the
Okay.
possession himself, so he has the case with
Oh,
Ben.
okay. And then the GoFundMe is also because so it was the Lego. It was essentially it was like a not a lease, a co-signment, which is this basically this
Assignment.
83-year-old dad or whatever and his son. They had over many years built like the biggest like Star Wars Lego collection, and so what they did because they wanted some money from it is they co-signed it, or sorry, is it co-signment? I believe it's called. But they basically to this, oh yeah, there you go, consignment. They agreed for this other company to basically like piece sell it, like, hey, you can have these products like in your store to sell them, and basically we'll make like a portion of the profit off of the sales for it until the collection is sold. And
The store and the corporate company that owns the franchise contract both make royalties on it, fees,
right,
consignment.
yeah, and so the franchise, because they're all franchise businesses, the owner of that franchise sold their franchise to like a different owner, and the new owner was basically like, we just kind of put their hands up and played dumb and was like, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Whatever you had was a deal between the old owner and you, and like basically said like we're not honoring anything.
Corporate took over the store from the owner because she was about to quit the store and sell the store, but she hadn't yet. She still had a couple weeks on there. And then they came in while she still had all the inventory and kicked her out, said that they took over all the contracts, and she got in contact with Bryant, the Mansell, who owns all the Legos, and told him about it, and he went up there trying to recover his property, and they made it very difficult. You know, like they got to the point where he's just trying to sue them. Like he said, I'm going to sue you. And Josh, the owner of the store, now said that if he tried, they will make it cost so much, take so much time, and make it unworth the value of what he's trying to recover. That it's just not worth it. Just give up.
Yeah.
And
no, go ahead. Oh, so
Brian,
basically that's where this guy, Reckless Ben, got involved and was like,
No,
YouTuber.
Brian went to attorneys and other YouTubers first, and they all met that same wall of Ben has ridiculous legal resources. The CEO, before he started getting involved with Legos, it was his thing to make lawsuits or reduce visibility of lawsuits. Then Ben got involved after, people reached out to Ben to help him. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and so he made like 2 main videos about it. The first video is like an hour and a half, but it's like it's a funny watch. Like, there's too much to kind of go over, but it's
the police
pretty
involvement
epic.
is the big thing.
Yeah, there's also like corrupt police essentially. Like they did make this connection where, because it's in Utah, so the store owners are Mormon, and then a lot of the police he determined were also Mormon. So there was this, not a hard line, but it's like they kind of cover it for each other.
The Mormon thing is 20-something of the 50 people working in the police department are Mormon. The CEO, COO, Josh, and the Brandon Best, CEO, COO, are both McNaffy's, yeah, Amon and Matt McNaffy. They're both Mormon. and they both went to BYU, the Mormon fucking law college. And
Yeah, that's what
the
it was.
judge that signed the warrants also went to BYU and is a Mormon, and the cop that made the arrests on them was also Mormon, and the attorney that signed off on the redactions of the body cam footage was also a BYU graduate and Mormon.
Yeah, so basically Mormons suck.
Mormons are based, okay? Fucking
It's
based. I'm
they're
on your
like-
side now. Fuck that Lego guy, okay?
Especially like
Yeah.
they're like one step below Scientology, right?
That's insane. Don't say things you can't take back. Yeah, you already broke my heart, me and Big Soda's heart once with your Alex Jones hatred testy, okay?
Hey, we can agree on other things.
No. We agree on that, and then everything else will come
Yeah.
to terms with. That's my
50
one dividing line.
Why do you think
A
Sam
body
Hyde is a
cam
piece of
footage.
shit? I don't understand that. I mean, I have some reasons for like not liking certain things he's done, but
I think like because I think he's highly entertaining. His comedy shit I find hilarious, but like for the most part. But I think he is legitimately a white nationalist, and I'm not being like a soy lefty in that. I think I've seen enough of his clips to think that like
that's
he does
fine.
hold
That's
those types of views.
probably a little bit, but like, is it just his
Okay, well,
views? Is it just mere thoughts in his head and words? What is a word besides a sound wave that hits your ear and
I
then you
mean, I don't-
interpret it?
This isn't like something I even need. I feel like I have to both sides, but like, yeah, if somebody's like a black nationalist, I'd also think they're a piece of shit. I think
Well, that's
those types
different.
of I think supremacists, people who think that like their particular race or their particular in-group or whatever is superior in any way, like yeah, I'm comfortable saying I think those are shitty people and I don't like them.
But it's not like he's like, I understand if he was like actively saying this, but and I've watched enough that yeah, I used to think that you know a lot of the
Yeah,
well
he had
I
the
brought up the example of
post-irony,
him being the
like,
post irony.
yeah.
So the stuff I liked, I'd be like yeah, based, and the stuff I thought was untoward, I'd be like oh that's him joking. And I realized that way I'm kind of just like picking and choosing depending on like what I agree with, and the
I did
stuff
the
that I
same thing.
find concerning, I'm like oh that's a joke. When he talks about
Yeah.
the Jewish people in that way, that's a joke. That's the same way I would make an anti-Semitic joke, and I'm like I don't know if it actually is.
No, I was the same way for the longest time. I was like, yeah, he's probably racist, but he's funny. Like, yeah, I am still kind of like that in the sense that like, ultimately, like because he's not like a Nick Fuentes where he's like strong political advocacy or whatever. Like if he was
Right.
politically involved,
That's
I'd
what I
probably
think.
have
Like
more
I
of a
get if you say
But he's
Fuentes is a piece of
primarily-
shit.
Well, he's primarily a comedian. So like, I don't know. I guess I am kind of separating the art from the artist. I'm saying that like, I think that the artist is a shitty person. I still enjoy a lot of his content.
I guess
So
do you think just those views on their own without like really promulgating them much, right? I mean, he'll say like jokes and it's enough jokes and enough maybe serious moments that we both agree, yeah, there's probably something going on that's not just jokes, but he's not being a Richard Spencer back in the day or something, right? He's not being a Nick Fuentes in the current day, right? So it's like, is that enough for him to be a bad person,
mean-
just that he holds like some untoward views about different
it's
minority groups?
It's kind of a descriptive thing in the sense that like I've spoken to like Groypers and like Holocaust deniers and people who, in my opinion, have like abhorrent views, and like so in the sense that like I kind of don't. The reason I don't mind talking to people even on the like far left or right with extremist views is that at the end of the day they're either anti-electoral, so then I'm like, okay, well you could say whatever the fuck you want really because you don't believe in the system and you're disenfranchised, and that makes me feel better. Or at the end of the day they are like a singular vote, or like their ideas are so far out there that that it doesn't like. I don't care. Like, I don't feel like they have the political traction to really ever implement or see their worldview come to fruition. So, like, on a practical level, yeah, it's kind of inconsequential. But, like, my red line, or I guess where I make these judgments, and is... I guess I've always said, if your ideology or your personal beliefs are advocating for some level of like supremacy or some level of either genocide or ethnic cleansing.
But
Like
do you
these are
think
like
he-
the logical conclusions to your.
Is that what he's doing with Sam Hyde specifically?
Yeah.
I get with these like it's like he's openly just denying the H event, or you know.
I'm saying the ideology itself. Like, what do you think? Like the logical conclusion in this case of like white supremacy is. Like, how do you achieve white supremacy if not through those means?
I don't like. To me, I
Well,
would see
being
him
better
more
than everyone else.
like a Gavin Newsom, not Gavin Newsom, Gavin McInnes type figure, where it's like,
I think
yeah, like I think
Gavin
he probably
McInnes
thinks
is kind
that
of a
racial
bumbling
groups
idiot,
are like
but-
some racial groups are better than others. I don't think he's advocating for like an ethno state or something. I've never got that vibe.
Right,
Even in his
but
like, even if he was like this speak and not hide his power level, I don't think he would like have these like insane, or someone like Vosh or Hassan, if they didn't hide their power level, I think they'd want
Yeah, it's the
disgusting,
same-
abhorrent things.
the
I don't think Sam
same-
Hyde would want that.
I mean, like, to be consistent, it's also the same with the tankies. Like, I also find them like just like.
Right, that's because tankies want literal murder, though. Like, I don't. Do you think Sam Hyde wants people
What the
to
fuck are you
actually
talking about?
die?
Yeah. Okay. You didn't answer my question. If you are a white supremacist, if you hold those views, or so again, because I'm saying that whether or not you are advocating for it actively, the ideology that you're holding leads to these conclusions, or the only way to ever, I guess, the world that you want to see to come about would require the things that I mentioned, like ethnic cleansing or genocide or some sort of totalitarian.
You're
over-
loading the question. You're
White
saying
supremacy.
because the hashtag not all white supremacists.
supremacy to attain social dominance.
How can
Like
you?
if he was a Richard Spencer type
you have-
figure, or like an Andrew Anglin, or like the Daily Stormer guy, right? Then I'd understand. Yeah, what these people want is probably very scary. I don't see Sam Hyde in that way. I think he probably thinks that white people are like.
Red pill me.
I just think he probably
Red
thinks
pill
white
me
people
on
are
white
better.
supremacy. Then what does that mean? Yeah, give me
Like,
the good version of white supremacy.
Well, to be clear, yeah, it's not a good version, but yeah, it's like yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's as harmful if, like, let's say there's because I don't want to get fucking canceled, but let's say it's like a black supremacy, and it's like they're not advocating for this, but they say enough stuff that they clearly think that like black people are probably like who should exist in America, let's say, and they're like, you know, and they kind of like talk on those talking points, but they never directly say it, and it's not like they're advocating for anything. It's like, yeah, I disagree with that, but is it that harmful? You know what I mean? I don't, versus like someone who's an actual black supremacist. It's like, well, what do you actually want? What would your prescriptions, if you were king of America, what would you do? And sometimes, like with the tankies, with Vosh, with Hassan, with those fucks, it's like, I think you would do very bad things. With Sam Hyde, I don't get that vibe. So he's like a white supremacist, but it's like white supremacy light, you know?
Okay, but let's let the black
Well,
supremacist
I
example.
got you.
But would you call
Here's
that
how we
person a
achieve
piece of
white
shit, though?
supremacy. Think about it like this. White people freed the slaves, which means they were the masters, right?
Sure, with you so far.
Well, that's pretty much it. You know,
Oh.
they attained social dominance.
Well, I say I've always said that white people should reclaim the N word because like technically it's their word, like they came up with it.
They fucking stole it from us. They culturally appropriated our word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they took that from you. but I guess even in the example, whether again, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Whether the advocacy is there, I would still call like a black supremacist or somebody who's even maybe just against like race mixing in general. I would still be comfortable saying I think that they're a shitty person. I think that they're like a bad person. So, I like even if you're saying, well, so I don't feel like I'm being too hard on anyone. I feel like I'm pretty milquetoast in my assessment. I'm just like, I think that that's a shitty person. Like, not much more I'm saying than that. I don't quite understand why there's like this, not pearl clutching. You're not doing that, but it feels like you're surprised by my reaction.
I guess I am, because it's like, I don't know, like there's people in this community that hold maybe views that I would find unfavorable against like certain minority groups, but I wouldn't say that those are like bad people for whole. I think they're like wrong on those points, but unless they're like advocating, or I think in their heart of hearts they would want like actual like violence to befall these people. Like, to me, I'm like fine being like, okay, yeah, you have some like Maryland, for example, right? Maryland, you know, I know we've talked about this before and stuff, I guess, but it's like, yeah, she has like some bad views on the Jewish people, right? Really bad views. But I don't think that makes her a bad person. I think she's just incorrect, and she's like gone down like a bad path. But I think that I wouldn't say that like is the sum total of like her personality or who she is as a person, or like, you know, how good she is. You know, it's like just in this one area, she's taking on some crazy views, and I don't know, why can't we hold that to someone like Sam Hyde? But I guess maybe you would disagree with someone like Mara.
It sounds like your standard of good might be kind of undefined or ambiguous.
Me or Testy?
Because like you're saying that she has these views and she's not a good person. Couldn't you say the same thing about Hitler? Or she has these views and she is a good person.
Right.
Couldn't you say the same thing about Hitler?
No, because Hitler didn't just have views in like one area. Hitler had views that he actioned upon to cause the death of like 20 million people or whatever it was.
Marilyn had that power. Do you know she wouldn't use it like that?
It's not like
remember the fucking conversation we had where I brought up the trolley problem, and she said, "How many times do I get to go?"
I mean, I think that was a clear joke. I don't, obviously I can't know what Mara would do if she was given absolute power, and I shudder to think. But I mean, do I think she would age cost people? No, I don't think that. Do I think Michael Knowles would age cost people? No. So even though I disagree with like the way he talks about like trans people, and I don't think it's like helpful and stuff, I think he would do some level of bad stuff that I would disagree with, of course. But, you know, is he going to put them in camps? I don't think he is. I don't think he is. Now, someone like Emmett, that's a more difficult case. I'm honestly not sure what Emmett would do if he was in power. That one's a little more scary.
That's not a difficult case because he fits the example of what you said. He advocates for these things openly. And even when at first you tried to like kind of fucking downplay it and you're like, I think he's kind of joking. And then everyone we spoke to, you're like, do you think he's joking about any of this shit? And you're like, nah, I think if he had his way, he would actually do this shit. So, like, I don't know, man. Maybe our standards are just different.
Well, no, but I'm saying at least with Mara, do you at least agree, like your intuition that she wouldn't do something crazy?
So maybe I did use the phrase like bad person, and I like as that is a little bit like vacuous, but because I can agree, because in the sense that like I'm friends with a guy who he's a self-admitted like white supremacist. Like I made a joke once. I'm like, I get it, you know, like if I was drowning next to a white person that was drowning, you would just save them instead of me. Like I'm not gonna take it personal. I get it, all right? And he's like,
that's crazy.
Like he's at we're at a point now. I've known this guy for years, and like we'll joke around about stuff, and he's even said he's kind of like, bro, like this shit's like never gonna happen. He's a former Groyper, but he still holds a lot of these types of views, but like he's just kind of like, bro, I just want to fucking like earn more on my paycheck. Like I don't even have the fucking time or energy to give a shit about this stuff anymore, really. But so like we've had some really good talks. So like I guess when I say like a bad person, or if I did say that, I would still say that I find that the View, like I would still call them, I guess, a shitty person, because I am speaking in the sense that like if they had their like utopia of what they would want to enact, it would be a world that would not include me in any capacity. And so I feel like I'm not the one necessarily rejecting them first. They are already rejecting me just as a person and disregarding me as a person. And so I have no impetus to like hold any space for them in my life.
I agree, but it sounds like we have different. It sounds like we have very different, I guess, views on this, because like if your friend's joking, then fine, funny joke, right? But if he's serious about like saving you in a swimming pool, I wouldn't want to be around someone like that. I'd be like, fuck you, that's fucking insane. You're like, you can have these racist views, that's fine, but you're saying that you'd pick some random white guy over me? Like, I mean,
to be fair, I was the one who made the joke, and he kind of like laughingly agreed. But like, yeah, I mean, I've known him long enough that I don't think that would actually be the case. Like, I would.
Scary that it's a question.
But this is
like that's not with Sam Hyde. Like I don't think he would say that. I think if he might have like some race realist takes, but I could not imagine if he had like some friend who's not white that there would be no question in my mind, right? The way obviously I don't know him, but the way I'm evaluating him, I don't think that would be the case. If I thought that was the case, I'd agree. That person's rejecting you. That person's a shit person. I guess I just don't see Marilyn. I think Marilyn would save a Jew from a swimming pool, you know, that she knew.
We'll have to ask her next time we see her. But like, I think that's part of my issue and part of my discomfort and part of the reasons why I don't like that type of thing. Or again, why I say it's a red line, is because there is some like ambiguity as to what their intentions are and what their decisions would be. Like, how driven are they by these things? I don't know how. Some people stay mask on, some people let these things slip out from time to time, but like if like somebody harbors these views somewhere deep in themselves, like you can never be truly comfortable around somebody like that. And again, I'm not just applying this to the white supremacists. I'm saying that people who have this sort of in-group, out-group extreme, as I would put it. So this could apply to like any group, left or right. So at least I'm trying to be at least consistent.
I hear you, but I guess the main difference is I'm very, as you know, intuitive based, and so when I see someone like Marilyn, I'm like, I feel like I have a good grasp of like who Marilyn is as a person, so she wouldn't do this. And even with Sam Hyde, even though I don't know them personally, I think I've watched enough content. I can get a read when they're saying something that's at least mostly jokes, even if there's some grains of truth, and when they're being serious, and how to evaluate. And my evaluation could be wrong, but it's not of the kind that would lead in a direction that you're saying of like that there would be like a question of if this person's gonna, you know, save a friend or not save a friend because they're a different skin color or something. Like whereas with people, and I don't think it's just bias, because I'll apply this on the right and the left in different ways, and like, well, in the same way, but like, you know, there's people on the left that I'll say fuck that person. I think of that person, if I was in a room with them, I think they'd fucking kill me if they could. Like, I fully believe that. And so fuck that person. And that's the intuitive vibe I'm getting off of what they say, how they act. But there's people that on the left that say kind of unhinged stuff, but it's like mostly jokes and, oh, I don't think they'd actually do this, you know? And I think, so that's what I'm basing this on, I guess. And maybe you and me have different, I guess, intuitions on like if Sam Hyde would actually do these things, but that's where I'm coming from, where it's like, I feel like you can get a vibe off someone like a Hassan or a Vosh that to me is like a very scary vibe, especially someone like a Bad Empanada, if you know who that is, right? That guy's like a psychopath. Yeah. So it's like, there's no question. And on the right, there's unhinged people too, that it's like, yeah, I wouldn't trust these people, you know, at all. Like, and if I was trans, I'd be like, yeah, there's certain people, the way they talk, it's like, I wouldn't, yeah, if you were in power, I might be dead, you know, and that's a fucking scary thing to think.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't go all the way, because I can be friendly. I could probably even be friends with some of these people. Like, I'm friends with a guy as well. He was like totally fine, but his brother was like extremely racist, and like I had met him enough times, but like some of the shit he used to say to me was just like, I don't even really care about racism either, but it was like, it's all he would ever fucking talk about, right? So it's just kind of like, yeah, at the very least, I think you're kind of an asshole, but like, long story short, eventually, like, we're chill now. I don't know if he got over his racism, but at the very least, he sort of accepted myself, that I was like friends with his brother. But so yeah, I don't know, because I can be like, I know somebody who's on the left. I don't know exactly what their political alignment is right now. They used to be a communist. Now they are some level of lefty, but they are the kind of like, we need to put people in re-education camps type. And like, I also think he's like a piece of shit person, but I also get along with this guy, and we like, I don't have an issue with him on that level, but he is also somebody I will never trust for the same reasons. And so I don't know. So even if I'm saying that maybe like bad person is like a bit loaded, but if I'm saying that I think somebody is shitty, I am saying that like their ideas and like their worldview is shitty. Because I just think that there are like implications to those things, and there are certain things that I just like that cannot be reconciled. These things are not maybe Chief, as inert or as.
What if he started hanging out with Marilyn?
Well, I've avoided addressing the Marilyn question, the MQ. I have actually gone back and forth.
Fuck! I almost did it. My fucking controller disconnected. Fuck me.
Yeah, you grinding this shit for a while.
Sounds like a skill issue.
You have to do 3 rooms in a row without dying, and I finally got the easiest room, which is this one, and I fucking died. It's so annoying. All you have to do is mash A, and my fucking controller disconnected. Fuck. Anyway, sorry. The MQ.
Skill issue.
I'm just saying, I've gone back and forth, because like, some of the stuff that she has said in the Discord or whatever, it has like made me think less of her, which I don't feel like you can judge me for that. At the very least, like I don't. I do think she's like, she can be an incredibly like sweet and thoughtful person. I don't know exactly what gets into her or why she goes into specific rants and stuff, but I'm also kind of like not interested in entertaining it. So it's like, I kind of just keep my mouth shut, more so out of respect for you. Like, if I was let loose, I would probably fucking fly off the handle a little bit. Maybe get a little soy, you know? Hang on. Oh, Paige wants to know what I look like. No, I don't think you'd be in... No, I see what you're saying, but... This almost triggered me. Paige said, "Testy, you sound like a chronic victim." I feel like I'm. Yeah, I tried to like ignore it.
I disagree with that, to be clear.
The funny thing is, like, I am definitely on the left, but you know, I whatever. You even said it's okay to be soy. I'm certainly soy about things, so like, I'm fine with that critique as well. Yeah, but I'm not I'm not like a platforming guy either, except for Ben Thorpe, which I've given my case for. But like,
yeah, I was gonna say you are in that case.
If you were talking about like Nick Fuentes or something, like I've never cared about that type of shit, because I'm one of those people. I don't think the audiences. I don't think people are fucking like sponges in a crowd. I think people already, you know, unless you're like really impressionable, you have mental issues, or you're like a certain age or whatever. But for the most part, it's like if you hear something that you disagree with, it's even better to let extremists speak sometime, because you can at least laugh at them in their face and be like, oh, you're actually a crazy person. Like, so I don't think people are going to be seduced by ideologies and like be shifted in that way. I think if you're super ideologically disposed or a partisan or something, like, you're kind of already locked in. I don't think much is going to sway you after a certain point. So I don't care about conversations that people are having on any extremes, regardless of their like extremist views, right? So yeah, I don't know. I can engage and talk to these people. I just like, there is some separation between like when I guess I'm making more of a character judgment. It feels fair. It feels like a fair character judgment.
I did have a question, Patsy. Would you consider people who are like objectivists, like people who follow Ayn Rand philosophically? Would you consider them extremists?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if I'm understanding, it's just like hyper individuality. I don't think that's like the best way to approach things, but I wouldn't attach any even like, I don't think I would attach like even moral weight to that particular view.
Okay, so you're not saying it's like extremist.
No, I wouldn't say. When I'm talking extremist, I'm thinking more in the political sense, less of a philosophical sense. Although I do understand there's like overlap, obviously.
Yeah, I guess if a philosophy is extreme enough. I mean, even with Kirk had said some deplorable things that I think are very suspicious. Like the thing where you were like, you thought there was no, when you went on your brief alt-right, which I think you've come out of maybe. Do you remember that, Kirk? Your alt-right spiral?
I don't believe in giving foreign aid to Africa, but that's because I'm against foreign aid in general.
Right, but you're also saying, I don't think the white man owes the black man anything.
That is straight rhetoric. Yeah, that does sound like quite rhetoric, but I didn't want to like.
He briefly got down a bad YouTube playlist, okay, but I think he's come out of it.
Well, I was joking most about the white man part. I mean, I do think there is like anti-white rhetoric, but like that's not. I'm just against foreign aid in general because like I don't think we owe foreign countries, and like you can be against my libertarianism, but like.
Right, yeah. But I also, the way you were talking, and I don't know how much it was serious or not. Not even like the race thing. Even though you repeated it a lot in a non-joking way, but I'll accept that that's a joke. But I find it kind of, you couldn't seem to understand why there might be some like moral good in helping, like in a purely humanitarian sense, helping like another country that went through like some disaster. And I find that like that, I think that is a pretty deplorable take. Like, but I don't see you as a bad person because of it. I just think you're like wrong on that take, and I think it's not a good take.
Well, okay, so how about this? If we give foreign resources to foreign countries, why should they get our resources that we worked for? Why should the producers give people who don't produce?
Well, I guess I mean I would say the same thing if like so with homelessness in like America and Canada and stuff, right? It's not like these people are like dying of hunger, but let's say there was somebody that you saw and they're like literally dying of hunger, let's say. Like they're probably, I'm not saying that every single case, because I understand if there was too many, like if you went to India or something in one of the poorer parts, you can't help everybody. Everyone's going to want something. And like, there's going to be an amount where you have to almost like just shut off the empathetic part of your mind maybe to like survive. But if you saw somebody, right, that was actually starving to death and it's like one guy and no one else is feeding him, I would hope that you would feed him, Kirk. I hope you wouldn't be like, well, he's not a producer. Why would I give him? I work for my resources. Why would I give him food to like save his life?
Why are we donating and being taxed for it then?
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean. I'm not making some argument that that like that on any given case, like I could be swayed if we're just like, oh, I don't this cause, or we're giving too much money, or I understand, but just as a blanket statement, like that's the stuff that concerns me. To be like, why would what Kirk just said? Why would we help somebody? They're not the producers. It's our resources. That just sounds crazy to me, right? If we want to like talk about like, should it be done through taxation? Should it be done by private donations? That's all fine.
Yeah, but there's a difference between somebody who's there's a huge difference between somebody who's a citizen of your own country who can be of value to your country, and someone who's of a foreign country, because like Dunbar's number, right? You can only know so many people. You can only have in your cognitive schema of the world so many people in mind when you take care of people, and so you should prioritize this as of your own country. So if we liberalize zoning laws, first of all, I think zoning laws are a part of the cause for homelessness, because I know it's kind of a conventional take, but restrictive zoning laws do increase the cost of housing, which does increase homelessness. That's a fact, because the more regulations you have on supply, the more expensive supply is, right? This is pretty basic economics, and most economists are against excessive zoning laws. But on top of that, yeah, I would definitely be fine with like personally donating to a homeless person in my own country, but that's not the same as someone who's not part of my country, because again, Dunbar's number.
I don't see how Dunbar's number applies. I think like if I it's like, it's not like the homeless guy you're donating to, it's not like you know him in the Dunbarian sense that he's like one of your 150 close pals. You might never see him again. And I'm not even saying okay, don't die, controller. This is the third room, and I got the easy one, thank God. Okay, just mash A, Confluence. Just mash A. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Let's fucking go. I think that's it. Okay.
Also, can you screen share?
Well, I think I've done. Wait, I thought I was screen sharing. First of all, am I not?
No, you're not.
But I think I've also done the hack. I think. Oh, apparently not.
Okay.
It's a boss battle. What the fuck? Okay. Wait, I have to start the whole thing over if I die here, do I? Okay, thank God. Oh yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so it's not like you would know. It's not like that homeless person is one of the Dunbarian people that you know, right? You're probably never going to see him again. And you shouldn't be making that. I mean, again, it's not like you're obligated in any, like I am maybe Rand coded in that sense. Although I don't know. It depends, man. There is some cases where you probably should, like you are maybe more morally obligated to help somebody. But I understand you have to pick and choose on who you're going to help and stuff like that. I get that. But yeah, it's not like, I don't think you should be giving out of a sense of like, oh, is this person going to like socially, because then you're giving with an eye on your own community. I think there's nothing wrong with selfless giving, and I think that probably is like a good thing to do. Again, in each individual case, it's not like I'm saying you have to give to Cambodia, or you have to be fine with your government giving to Cambodia or whatever the fuck, right? Like, but I'm saying just in general, it's probably just good to help people without, even if they're not going to contribute to your nation's economy,
I don't think Nietzsche would agree with that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Nietzsche probably wouldn't. That's one of my main problems with Nietzsche. You're very quiet, by the way. I can't remember your name.
Avery?
No, it's not Avery. It's what's your name again? Sorry, guy. That sounds like Big Soda.
Frosty Tarnish?
No, but what's his name in like on the panel? He has a different name when he joins panel that I know him by.
Costly Tarnish.
Seth. Yes.
That was
Seth.
Big Soda?
No, he just
That
sounds
wasn't
like Big Soda.
This whole time?
He just sounds
Holy
like Big Soda.
shit.
Big Soda is also here, or was here.
I make an argument.
It's not.
Your mic.
Is this guys less confusing? Is this less confusing for you guys?
Yes,
there you go.
that's way less confusing.
I didn't even know Avery was here, by the way. Hey, Avery.
Hey, what's
Hi,
up?
Avery.
Oh yeah, Avery, you're super quiet as well, I think. Or maybe that's
Super
me.
quiet?
No, never. That was me. I had your volume down for some reason. Might have been from when we'd spoken in private views. I don't know. Wait, Kurt, how do you feel about like charity though? Let's forget the foreign aid side of things. How do you feel about like charity within a country?
Yeah, I think there is if you value the reduction of poverty, if you value progress, there's place for charity. But I think that most charity should be done by private. Like I'm fine with some government, like like for example, like a universal basic income for people below the poverty line, maybe. But like it should be, or like a tax credit system rather.
Maybe? Because I universal basic income, and if you're below the poverty line, right, you don't really
Because money is
incentive
part of
to work
all
more.
kinds of evil. Money is the problem in the first place. So it's always.
I would probably be against welfare to the poor because the problem is they don't have an incentive to work if you give them too much welfare. But when it comes to private charity, yeah, I do think there's a place for it. But the problem with private charity, though, is like a lot of it is used for corrupt, like tax evasion schemes and stuff like that, and a lot of it is for nonsense.
Can I make an argument for specifically for why I think it would be good for the government to be involved with, say, homelessness? And because I can put it in more like an Ayn Rand, maybe economic incentive type of terms. I think that it seems true that if you are homeless, you're costing society more money because one, just through healthcare as your health deteriorates. 2, with arrests, so like processing through the legal system. 3, I guess, like general vagrancy usually has like petty crime attached to it, so you're hurting communities and things like that directly. All of these things cost money, right? It is better for society if that person were not homeless and they had a job contributing to society, right? Like as a baseline, they are now giving instead of taking. Yeah. And so if we provide, or not we, but if the government is able to provide the necessary resources, you could think of it more as an investment. Like they're getting them clean, or they're getting them sober, provide like subsidized housing, perhaps. Ultimately, these are on to get them on the path to become productive members of society. So they are an economic benefit in that regard.
If you want to decrease the cost of housing, build more housing.
I don't feel like that addresses the point that I was making here.
No, because I'm saying you could house more people. You could reduce homelessness by liberalizing zoning laws.
So yeah, but okay. So when I say homelessness, though, it's not just the adjective of the fact that they do not have a home. I'm saying that, like, again, the other factors that I sort of threw in there, right? But would you at least agree with like the premises I laid out that they?
Well, if you force, I think that there should be rehabilitation programs for homeless drug addicts. But you should force them into rehabilitation.
But then But then you would support this being government funded, or would you?
Yeah, I would be fine with the government funded rehabilitation services as long as we force the homeless to be rehabilitated.
Okay.
Wait, you're not fine with it if it's just a volitional thing?
I mean,
I force them to be productive members of society.
What if they are
innocent?
What if they just don't fit in with society?
I don't know if you can force someone to be a productive member of society is the problem.
Well,
that was a joke, but I do think we should force rehabilitate so that way they have the opportunity to become.
Well, you know,
that was
so
they have the opportunity to become productive members of society. They should not be using drugs in public. And if they're using drugs in public, they're at such a low point in their life that we should rehabilitate them.
Well, here's another option. How about, because I know under the 13th Amendment that slavery is legal for prisoners. If you arrest the homeless, so they're now within the prison system, they're now officially slaves. You could just use them for like free labor and like scientific experimentation, and in that way they will benefit society.
Yeah, but that's, first of all, that's not humane, and second of all, with regards to arresting the homeless, I think that if a homeless person refuses to be rehabilitated, they should be arrested, but that's only if they refuse rehabilitation.
Right, so I'm skipping a couple steps, but once they have been arrested, then they are now officially slaves, right?
Yeah, if they refuse rehabilitation, they should be arrested. They should be eligible for the same things that other prisoners are.
Okay, because I was citing the 13th Amendment, which they are technically slaves.
But also, do you understand my point that we could decrease homelessness if you built more housing by decreasing the zoning laws that restrict the building of housing?
Okay, so can I say something to this? Because I've been homeless multiple times in my life. I've spent about probably 3 months total living under bridges and like 3 years total in homeless shelters. So I feel like my opinion on this is kind of valid because I've lived it and experienced it. The problem, Kurt, with a lot of this stuff, with the housing, is that a lot of these people that get housing, right, they get like a free, I think the homeless shelter here locally, they'll do rapid rehousing if you come there and you already have a job, right? Which pretty much means that they'll pay your first month's rent deposit, they'll get you a bed, they'll get you everything set up. for you specifically, and then that's it. You're out the door. And that, of course, is if you already have a job or if you get a job midway through a program or something. Secondly, a lot of these people who have these mental illnesses, they give these people housing, right, for like a set amount of time, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. It really just depends on how much funding is available and how severe, like those people's cases are. These people do not have the basic life skills to function in society. They don't clean their fucking apartments. It's a dumpster in these places, and I know this for a fact because I've known people who we were there, we hung out a little bit, cool, I'll go over your place, it's a fucking pigsty. There's holes in the fucking wall, they use it as a free pass, oh cool, I can just do all my fucking drugs here and crap. Same shit they were doing at the shelter, and that happens a lot more than what people realize.
I don't disagree, but I'm still saying we should.
Housing problem. This house, and then on top of that, the landlords don't want to take the fucking risk because they're just going to destroy the apartment.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just saying we should also liberalize the zoning laws so that way it's cheaper to the government.
Caustic, we cannot understand you. You're roboting like a motherfucker.
God, I just got soft locked. I don't know if anyone saw that. I have to do that whole thing again. Fuck that game shit. Fuck that.
But like Avery, do you disagree that we should liberalize zoning laws, or do you just think that we shouldn't give them like free housing?
What do you mean? What do you mean by like liberalizing zoning laws? Can you walk me through that in very basic terms, Kirk?
Just like make it easier to build less restrictive zoning for housing.
Something like that. Basically, when you make it easier to build more houses in a neighborhood.
Okay, define easier.
Like less
fewer
red tape.
regulations.
Yeah, fewer like you can build a higher in height. You can have like maybe backlane houses that you can rent out. It helps with like urban density, but also like.
So this isn't so it's not like we're gonna cut down on like the electrical work and plumbing work. Right?
Private individuals
red tape there, right?
No.
It's more about the size of the building.
Keep that?
So I guess
what you're saying is we're gonna cut down on like safety?
No, we're going to cut down on the sizes of the buildings that you can build.
Like there are houses, brand new houses get built here all the time, and they don't pass the electrical inspection, they don't pass the plumbing inspection, and they're built like shit.
That is
the zoning.
That is part of the.
And that's with the regulation.
Well,
right?
hold on. I got 3 people talking to me at once. I only need one. I am all for people putting like apartments on top of like businesses for like commercial zones and shit like they do in New York, right? I'm okay with that. 100%. Fuck yeah, let's do it. It's easier. I would like to live in one of those because then I'd be in the middle of downtown. I'd be within walking distance of everything. But I'm talking about like we should still keep the quality of buildings there, but we should be able to build more places. Is that what y'all are saying?
Well, for me, there is a balance, and that to me that is why there is a reason why in some cases, especially, their zoning laws exist. So for me, there is a balance there. I don't think it's just like build whatever type of home that you want, right? Like there should be some sort of long-term planning or vision, some civic planning involved, so that there is like a process and to prevent future issues down the road. But I also agree broadly that
about ensuring the quality of construction.
Yeah, that is also that's true. They pump them out.
But to answer your question, Avery, because I think the question you were partially directing into me. My own perspective is that we should not get rid of the restrictions on plumbing and electricity, like how you build it. But I'm saying the size or shape of the building should be liberalized, such that, for example, you should be able to build multi-family homes in neighborhoods, for example, not just single-family homes.
I'd be okay with that.
I would be okay with that too, but can I say that like I don't feel like this addresses the homelessness problem, and even to Avery's point, I think that like just putting somebody into a home so they're not technically homeless, they don't have life skills, like as he was saying. So like I would take maybe a similar.
What kind of neighborhood?
That's also a fair question. I mean, because then it can also become like drug dens and like other things, right? But or slumlords end up taking advantage. But in Norway, what they do when they arrest people, I think for minimum security or whatever, they call it like a boot camp from hell, And they're not making them like run laps and like do physical stuff, but what they do is they teach them how to cook, they teach them how to do laundry, they teach them how to like
Yeah, we
they
should
have a
100%
regimen.
be doing that.
Yes, so it's like it's prison, they're not allowed to leave, but they are teaching them like practical life skills to be able to take care of themselves, which is the bare minimum, right? Like the bare minimum is you should be able to take care of yourself. And I think teaching them those skills to begin with is like
public education.
Yeah, I think everything ultimately starts from there, right? Yeah.
I mean, I think your senior year of high school should be basic life skills and understanding our financial system. So that way you don't get fucked over on loans.
Yeah, do your taxes.
I mean, didn't
learn
you
how to
guys have
apply
like
for an
home ec?
apartment.
Do you guys have home ec in America?
I had home ec, but we did did some cooking, we did some sewing. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
that's all you need in life.
But
Cooking and
that's
sewing.
an elective. Hold on. That's an elective though.
It was also elective,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, not
you
here.
can
We
choose
had you
that.
had to do
Well,
home ec.
Oh no.
Yeah, see that.
For me, it wasn't. It was forced. It was like, but it was half the year. So half the year we had to do home ec, and then half the year we had to do like either woodworking shop or
Yeah, same with me.
electronics or something. Yeah. Okay, then similar. Okay.
Confluence, you lying. Pics are no proof. Ain't no school got that kind of common sense.
I don't know how helpful it was, but I know how to use a bandsaw. Never used one since, I don't think, but
That is useful. I mean, bandsaws are
Wait,
pretty dope.
we have 2 big sodas.
Now you're a man.
Do we?
We do. Yes,
Hello.
we do.
is that Tampa?
It is Tampa.
Hey, Tampa.
That wasn't me talking, but I'm here,
Oh.
yes.
Oh. Was
Oh.
that Seth? That's Seth's woman voice.
Thought it
It's
was.
pretty convincing. Where did we land on the whole
Is it really?
homelessness thing? I was too much. I was too busy rage
What-
quitting over my fucking
Well,
game
it stemmed
soft
from
locking.
it stemmed from me asking about like charity, and then also like what do you think the role of the government should be, if anything, and so it kind of went from there. But then it was like we started talking about how to reduce homelessness, but or I guess yeah, whether we should help these people. For me, I think international support is good. Like in the case of natural disasters is an easy one. Like you're not getting anything from people, but if people are experiencing a humanitarian crisis, I feel like, well, what do I get out of this? Like,
Well,
I
this
don't know,
example
for me,
I
they're-
brought up with Kirk, and he was
yeah.
like, "No, let the tsunami people just fucking die." Well, no, he actually
Yeah.
specified if they're in a good country that he likes, then we should help them. But if they're in a
Yeah,
country
so,
he doesn't like, then fuck them.
Well, I don't think we should help Africa because what values Africa to us?
Dude, do you know how many precious
Yeah.
metals
Here's
and
the
minerals
way-
come from Africa?
Okay, so then hold on. Here's the way we do it. We help them and we tell them, cool, now we have mineral rights.
Dude, that's so fucked up to do them.
Yes.
How is that fucked up? Hold on.
Because
No,
you got
how
them
is
by
that
the
fucked up? Listen. No, hold on.
Predatory
Donate
Hold
blood.
on.
You
Hold on,
bring
let me
a
talk
picture
about
with
this. Hold
you of the specific person you're donating to.
Hold on. Look, this is how we do it, Testy. We say we get mineral rights. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna build out your fucking industry. We're gonna give your people jobs, and then we'll split a little bit of the profit with you. How is that
Jeez.
wrong? How
Let's
is that wrong?
exploit Africa
Deal-
more.
deal-
That's the solution.
Yeah,
Don't
like
split
neo-colonialism.
We should be colonialists. We should give them aid and say if you want the aid, you have to give us your mineral rights, and so we should exploit that.
So-
we should
Not
split the
so
all
profit.
fucking
of it.
Blackville,
Not
holy
all of
shit.
it, but we're gonna hold on, Confluence, because we're
It's
gonna do more fucking help than their
extortion.
country ever could.
But it's extortion. You're like,
It is.
We should be
It's
allowed to
extortion.
distribute
So
it
if
through
it
the
betters
country,
people's
not
lives,
just
who
deliver
cares?
it to.
I like.
It's still our stuff, even if we're giving it to the people. We're making sure it gets to the people, right? We don't do that, so there's no way to know
Cuba's a great
what you are
example of
donating
that.
to.
Let's just take their mineral rights and not help them.
Yeah, that's
No,
a better idea.
no. Let's help them. Let's build out
It
their
would
fucking
probably
industry.
work out better in the end.
Just cut out the middleman of helping them and just
Yeah.
fucking take the minerals.
Yeah,
Why do we have to
Build
help
real
them?
industry.
No, here's what we should do. We should help them. We should take their mineral rights. But the reason we should help them is because if we help them, we can convince the population to be subservient to us, and so they won't cry that the white man is exploiting them.
See, that's Jew
Oh, that's a good one, Kirk. That's a good one.
You can take the Jew no hide of the what's the expression?
You can take the Jew out of the Noahide, or you can take the Noahide out of the. No, I don't know now.
There's some way it goes.
You can take the Noahide out of the Jew. You can't take the Jew. Yeah, I don't know.
It's confusing me, but there's something there.
Here's kind of the disconnect for me is that like on an individual level, so like I'm more likely to give to somebody who is homeless. Some people just they don't give money to homeless people. I rarely do. If I have some change, but if it's like raining or it's cold out and I see somebody and they just look that much more miserable, like there is some like more pull on my heartstrings of like, fuck, this sucks, right? And I think that's a natural thing.
I've done it before. I know how it is.
Yeah, but for me, and I understand that this is not like a one-to-one. Obviously, like an individual's views should not be treated like how governments operate. Like that's not always practical. But it just feels like there is some massive disconnect where we're saying that like, well, on an individual level, we can kind of understand, and that like maybe we should help out where we can for individual people. But then when it comes to like governments, it's like, nah, fuck them. It's like it's them or us. Like they're like that to me. They're just. I don't know. It just doesn't jive with me.
It's a thing of like, a person can be smart, but people are stupid.
Yeah, that's one of the best quotes from. Is it Men in Black?
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know where they got it from, but they're absolutely right.
It is 100% true. I mean, look at like when mobs form.
I think
and
it's
stuff,
because
things happen, right?
when the opinion gets averaged out, it's not the best opinion.
But then you have the wisdom of the crowds thing, where, right, that's a real phenomenon.
Angry
Where
against it.
when it starts averaged out, people are more likely to be right, like even on basically like counting jelly beans.
No, conflicts. Have you heard the Ash conformity experiments? Right? The Ash conformity experiments prove that people are irrational under group behavior.
You don't have to yell at us.
I don't know. I think it depends. Like I'm not saying the wisdom of crowds is true all the time. There is something about people are smart, individuals are stupid, but there's also the flip side where that a lot of times when you average out people's beliefs, they end up coming to something that is a lot closer to the truth than any of them on their own, you know.
I know, but have you heard of the Ash conformity experiments?
No.
Okay, because basically, so what they did was they showed that under peer pressure, people are willing to believe obviously false things.
Oh yeah.
If people believe them.
But I don't know if they're believing. They're just willing to like conform to it, right? I wouldn't say that's belief. Like we're talking about where you have like 5 stooges in front of you, and then they're answering like a basic question that everyone would know the answer to, and then all 4 people like say the wrong answer, and then the 5th guy's like, oh shit, maybe I'm crazy, and then they'll say the wrong answer. But that, to me, that's more just like social pressure. I don't think that really speaks to like what they actually think about the situation. If they were writing it down, it would be different, you know.
Okay,
like
wait.
if it was like hidden.
If we do like a wisdom of the crowd type of thing, or we're saying that like majority, but I feel like what you're proposing of like no foreign aid or assistance, or like pretty broadly speaking, or going in there and helping them and then taking it, that probably is not the position that most people hold. Like, to be fair,
I think a lot more hold it than you realize.
Maybe, yeah, and I'm not even gonna bother to like look at polling and stuff, because like I'm sure there is something it points to, but I don't see that as like authoritative, but yeah, I don't know.
Wisdom of the crowd thing. Notice how it's like the average of a bunch of different opinions. Whenever the crowd agrees on the same thing, that's way different, almost always.
This is why we need less polarization, and we need to come together and fight the true enemies, which is the
Jews.
Elite. No, I was gonna say the elite.
Yes, confluence. Yes.
The world. Yeah.
The Noahides.
That just so happen to be the J words.
No, it's the when we in real talk, it's the WEF people, the World Economic Forum, the Klaus Strausses of the world.
Yeah.
Those are the actual. Those when people talk about the Jews, it's like settle down, go after the real fucking enemy. Alex Jones was right. The fucking globalists. Okay. Those people are the people that want the new world order. The people that say you own nothing and you'll be happy.
No.
Like fuck those people. Those people are the cancers that are like killing us.
But aren't they the J word?
Some of them are not. Some of them are Jewish. Some of them are not.
They're overly
Alright,
represented.
fair enough.
IBM made the Nazi Enigma machine and sold the code to the British and requested the Nazis put a bunker facility for the Enigma machines down, so to protect from the British bombing raids they were giving the coordinates for.
What's an Enigma machine? I feel like I've heard of that.
You don't know what the Enigma machine was?
It's
Encryption machine.
Yeah, it's what the Germans used to like send messages during World War II.
Oh,
like,
right.
Yeah. And then the moment we were actually able to decipher it, like we pretty much won. It was like what, within a year?
Isn't there a
it was
movie about that?
We
Like,
deciphered
about
the Enigma machine. We
Yeah,
started
Alan
airburst black and ground combat. It was messy at the end of the war for them.
Yeah, what Red
That
Eye
was
Gunner
messy
said.
for everybody. War
That's where
crimes
I'm
The
at.
people on the Epstein list.
I
Yeah,
be
that's
in-
all the fucking globalists, if you think about it.
That's so confluent.
Machine and sold code to the British and had the Nazis put a bunker in for their Enigma machine to protect from the British air raids that they sold the code for the coordinates for.
Yeah,
Like,
but
they
also
play-
confluence.
Hi,
You were
Hey,
saying
Skirk.
earlier.
it's
You were
tech
saying
company.
earlier the thing you disagreed with Nietzsche about was this criticism of like altruism. But that's one of the things I love about Nietzsche is this criticism of this sort of slave morality that a lot of Christians adhere to, which is basically the idea that you should put others above yourself, or that those who humble themselves shall be exalted, and those who exalt themselves shall be humbled. Right? Like there is a
The humbleness applies to those that have more wealth or higher social status as well, is the thing. They should be humbling themselves down to your level, because you're both on the same level before God.
I think Nietzsche,
I'm
like,
not
I think
religious,
there's like
but I'll go ahead and agree with that.
there's parts that he says when he talks about the slave morality that I understand. There's kind of a joie de vivre that I think can result from like the Nietzschean points, right?
What?
Like the joy of life, like a sense of like self-agency or power and stuff, right? And I think there is maybe brands of Christianity that can like kind of take you out of that, where you're just like, I'm just gonna be a meek little person, and and all this stuff. I think there's a way that some Christians take this that I think Nietzsche was railing against, I think is fair. Where I think Nietzsche goes too far is he really seems to get into like the anti, like just helping people in general, or like like the weak, just let the weak die. It's the same criticism I have with like Aleister Crowley, where it just seems to be like a bit eugenics coded, a bit like, if someone is like struggling with something, just like let them die with it because they're like weak for the human race. Like that's a little too like Yahtzee pilled for my blood, But I think a lot of it, if you interpret Nietzsche in a more spiritual way, then I understand it,
Yeah, but with regards to the
sounds testy.
like foreign aid, shouldn't we as basically white Westerners, if we're gonna pay for them to have their way of life, then they should at least provide us with their minimal resources so they can be of value to us. Right? I think that's only fair.
I don't. It's not about fair. Like I guess you just reject the concept of altruism completely, and I just don't. So that's like a fundamental disagreement we have.
What about the fact that these same African immigrants wouldn't mind, attacking white Europeans if they immigrate, or raping us?
I don't. The hashtag not all African people, right, Kirk? If you think about it, like
not all, but enough that it's not fair that we have to pay for them.
Enough that you're just like saying fuck this whole continent.
No, we can pay for them, but I'm saying
Help out that African friend, giving him $1,000 so he can recover his fortune.
We can pay for them, but let's colonize them. Is basically let's take their resources if we're gonna pay for them.
Well then, okay, but that now you're just denying the altruism. So you're agreeing with what I'm saying. You're just against
your money.
You're against.
Do actually need your money. That is their source of income.
You're against just any form of just like actual altruism. You're saying like, what do I get out of this in exchange for my altruism? So it's not altruism anymore, which we just disagree with. I think that's kind of a black-pilled perspective to have. I understand if you're saying these people would destroy us. I don't think that's true. I think it depends on the people, obviously.
Why is it that these same people are 13% of the population, but
commit 50% of what, Kirk?
Yeah, I understand. I
These are the N-word.
I don't know what the point of bringing that up is, though.
because if these people are willing to steal and murder,
but that's
people in
still,
our
you
country,
understand. You know enough about stats to know, even though that stat is true, right? That doesn't mean that most black people are committing like these crimes. You know what I mean?
I know,
they make up a
I'm saying
disproportionate amount of crime committers, yes, but then you're just saying you wouldn't help somebody because they make up a disproportionate amount of crimes, right? Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yes,
It's not like it's if it was like the case that 99% of these people are like doing violent crimes or something, then at least I'd get where you're coming from. But that's obviously not the case.
To the individual, though, that's just specific to like as a whole. You know what I mean? It's different.
Right, and again, it's disproportionate. It's not saying like if you actually look at the number of black people that are doing these violent crimes, it's still obviously the minority of black people that are doing this. It's just proportionately, yeah, they do a lot of violent crime compared to other races in America.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't disagree.
Thing, right? Like we're going through a percentage of the crime, but are we getting a percentage of that ethnicity, which is a percentage of the population?
Right, and the percentage of the population is obviously a lot lower than 50%. It's not like 50% of black people are doing
You
crimes.
got a group of 10 people and one person commits 10 crimes, one crime per person.
But furthermore, the white birth rate is like less than the black birth rate, so we should be taking care of ourselves first and increasing our own birth rates before we help them out, or unless we can colonize our resources. So you know what? If the white birth rate was higher, it's one thing, but it's lower.
Do you think not helping these other countries is going to increase our birth rate?
Well,
Actually,
yes, because then we can spend the resources on our own people.
It's like, if anything, like,
especially
as much as I
we're
think
not
like
importing
USA,
impoverished people to impoverished areas.
I think USAID was like a bad thing that was, you know, a CIA soft operation. I think that's like actually been proven for the most part. I think that there was a reason that we did that stuff, and some of it obviously, like the extreme examples of like funding atheism in Nepal and all that stupid stuff, right? It's like, fuck that stuff. But there's also a reason that we had USAID, right? And I'm worried about the cuts to that, because we're trying to pump up the name of America, and Trump has really done a lot for, I think people have probably never hate America more, at least in a hot minute, than they have under Trump. And I think that's the problem, because we're not doing this stuff for purely altruistic reasons. We're doing this stuff so that other nations, when they think of America, right, they think of the helicopter of American aid that like dropped off in their fucking village, right? We're trying to like boost our brand, and now by cutting out all this aid, I think we're going to be fucking ourselves in the long term. So there is like utility in like doing this foreign aid anyway, even though my argument is mainly like one of like, I think, altruism and
They
stuff.
don't like us for the aid. They like the aid.
They do like, I mean, I don't know if that's true. I think a lot of nations have had, some of them hated America, but I think a lot of these people actually don't.
Palestinians and Iranians celebrate when we bomb them.
They would like us if we gave them aid, and I think they would still like us on the whole, even if we extracted the resources from them.
I don't know if they'd be so happy if we like raped them of their resources and extorted them. Yeah,
I think they would.
Look, I think it depends on the country. Obviously, like countries like Iran or like fucking Yemen, where their fucking Houthi slogan is like "Death to America, curse upon the Jews" or whatever. Yeah, there's no amount of aid that we're gonna send that's gonna fix that. They fucking hate us. Like if the argument was that, I'd understand Kirk more. If he's like, look, these places that already fucking hate us, why would we help people that want to fucking murder us? I understand that, but that applies to like certain regions. It doesn't apply to like all of Africa, for example. It might apply to certain places in Africa or certain people in certain places of Africa. So like, I understand if this was Gaza, I at least get it, right? Most Gazans probably fucking hate America. Most Iranians probably fucking hate America. Well, I'm not sure actually with Iran.
If we had,
and that's the problem with just donating money to the charity. You haven't done any real work. You know, like chances won't recognize that.
I would disagree with that.
Hold on.
Yeah, how much have you bench compliments?
Right?
If we had stricter restrictions on abortion and we restricted immigration from third world countries, we would have higher white birth rates.
I don't necessarily think that's true.
The abortion one, probably that's true. I'd say, like the obvious solutions would be banning abortion and like banning birth control. But the last one's never. We can get the abortion. We're never getting rid of birth control. That's just like Jordan Peterson even agrees with that, right? He's like that's something that's we're never going back. We're never putting a genie back in the bottle on something like birth control. Like we have to reckon that women have reproductive agency.
I'm fine with keeping birth control. I'm just saying restrict abortion and then also restrict immigration from third world countries.
Yeah, but that one I don't think has anything to do with our birth rate. We're doing that in a response to our crumbling birth rate. It's like you're putting the cart before the horse there, right? Like it's not like because we immigrate so much, people aren't having kids. It's because people aren't having kids that we feel the need to immigrate. Otherwise, we're gonna have population collapse, right?
No, because then the non-whites are coming in the race mixing with us.
Is miscegenation harming our birth rate, Kirk? Like, what's the argument for that?
By definition, it's lowering the white birth rate. By definition.
Okay, okay, so is that what you care about? So I thought you were caring about like the birth rate in general. Yeah, miscegenation lowers the black birth rate, lowers all the birth rates besides the mixed birth rate, if you think about it, definitionally.
So I'm saying, why should we take care of Africa and not get resources out of them if our birth rate is already plummeting?
Why do we assume that it's taking care of them and it's going to help? Does anybody have something for that? Because I can't start off on it's going to help because I don't know if it's going to help.
No, there's clear examples like with malaria and stuff, right? Like helping people with malaria. That's an actionable thing that we know has caused less malaria deaths in Africa. That's something that we know helps. And that was something that's been cut off now. Like people are going to die because we've cut off the malaria aid.
Okay, so can I say something to this to help Tampa?
Fewer kids are dying, so we don't need as many kids.
Can I say something to help Tampa? So Tampa, let's say there's a country in Africa. It doesn't matter, whichever one, right? And they go through a massive national disaster, and they want the U.S. to send aid. It's like, okay, we'll send you the aid. We'll help rebuild your infrastructure, but we want mineral rights. Okay, not 100%. Okay, because that's kind of fucked up. We're gonna say, okay, we'll go in, we'll build out your infrastructure, we'll teach you how to do this. Okay, now all the money that we've spent on it, we're gonna take 70%. Okay, but also we're gonna train and give your population the ability to do this. Right?
We're gonna take all your
educate. You know what I mean? So whatever it is, oil, diamonds, whatever it is, right? Okay, so this is how much money we have spent to rebuild your industry after the natural disaster. This is how much we spent on training. This is how much we spent on your industry. Now we're going to take 70% of all the minerals until this is paid off. After that, it goes down to a 50-50 split. We are giving them jobs. We are giving them purpose. We are putting more money into their pocket.
That's not horrible, Avery. Like because if the alternative is, look, we just don't have enough money to help them, and it's a fair deal, and we're not even recouping all our losses, and we're also boosting their economy. I'm not so opposed to that. Also, how retarded do you think I am? Obviously, I would say if I had to pick one to help the citizens. Obviously, how much of a fucking bleeding heart do you think I am?
I agree with what he said because he said teach them. So as long as that's the only help I think you can give anybody.
And then also we're not just gonna go in there we're gonna build out their industry too. We're gonna fucking build out a healthcare we are effectively going to colonize them. Not 100%. They're still gonna run their own population, but hey, this is what we're gonna do for you. This is what we expect in return. We would literally, if that happened in Africa, we would literally uplift a whole fucking country and benefit from it. We benefit, they benefit.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to, again, as long as if the deal's not fair, then it starts to sound extortionary. Right. If the deal is fair,
is what I said fair until we recuperate all the money that we put into your country. We'll take 70% of all the minerals. Okay, after that, we'll split it 50-50.
I think. Well, no. Well. What you? Maybe I misheard you before. But what sounded like you were saying before, I thought I agreed with. Like, if let's say we invest 20 million into Kenya, and then we have some mineral agreement that we will recoup, let's say 20 million, but we're not taking more than that. If the 70% ends up that at the end of the day we end up getting 100 million, and we only invested 20 million. Then that sounds a bit extortionary because now we're like, hey, we want your fucking diamonds and fucking lithium and all this shit.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is until we have recuperated all the money that we put into it, we get 70%.
Okay,
get 30.
Yeah.
After we've recuperated our investment, it goes to an even 50-50 split.
See, I don't know about that. Oh, we got a super chat from Testicular Johnson, the man himself. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your cultural adaptive services resistance is futile. Oh, that's the Borg. See, I don't recognize that.
Yeah, that's from Star Trek.
Oh, that's why. Thank you, Testy, for the $10.
That was a base super chat, Testy. You're awesome. But I think that's fair because like we are taking the risk that we may not ever get any of that money back. So I think that's fair. Once we've recuperated however much we put in, you know, and it's actually watched, it's actually audited, you know, it's done on good faith.
But the 50%
it goes down to an even 50-50 split. Yes, because we invested all this because it has to be profitable for us in the long term.
I know,
we can't
but
just go in and okay, we broke even, we're gone. No, fuck that.
I guess that's the fundamental disagreement. It's what like Section is saying. It's not fair if we give them our hard-earned shit for free. It's not supposed to be fair. I guess that's why we're just like talking past each other. I'm arguing that there is some like positive thing in just doing good for other countries, regardless of like our expected investment.
So is there hold on. All the money and aids
from investment
that goes into a lot of these world countries. It's taken by the fucking government anyways. What we are doing is now we are making sure that that doesn't happen. If we just give these people money, it's like giving money to fucking warlords.
Yeah, like obviously, look, you know, Joseph Kony's still out there, as I've recently learned. Okay, so wherever that fucker's at, yeah, don't let it. I mean, there's ways to like with the malaria stuff, right? That goes into the people, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Well, actually, I'm not. In some cases, I think they do.
How is that helping? How is that helping uplift them out of poverty? Right?
Well, if you're dying,
I'm cool with that. But
it's hard to have your life going if like a bunch of your populace is dying from malaria, Avery, right? The section says, cool, then fuck you. You can donate your shit. Yeah, I guess you're a fucking libertarian fucking not test section. If you want to die in the libertarian, the most retarded ideology conceivable, then fine. Okay, yeah, taxation is theft. Sound off, homie.
Dude, you're literally being the anti-Nietzsche right now. Like, literally, I don't think Nietzsche at all would agree with what you're saying.
I'm not married to. I like Nietzsche. I like a lot of what he says. I disagree with a lot of the other stuff he says, Kirk. I contain multitudes. Okay, I contradict myself. Okay, that's fine. That's Walt Whitman, by the way. Kirk, you ever read that? Put down the Don Quixote. Pick up some Walt fucking Whitman. Okay.
Like Plato's real smart.
I'm conservative American first. Yeah, American first doesn't mean American only though, section, right? I don't know why all you conservative fucks think that America first means America only. You can do a nice thing for someone who's not from America if you think about it, okay? If you think about it.
Considered being Western first?
How is what I said not doing a nice thing for them? We're all benefiting.
I'm with you until the 50% in perpetuity of mineral rights.
Why?
Because that could end up where because Avery, do you not see it being maybe unfair? No, let me finish. Let me finish. I understand. But I would even be more amicable to your position if it resulted in like a cap at a certain point. Like, let's say we invest 20 million and we want to get 30 million out of that because we took the risk investment. So yeah, maybe I could even be down if the mineral agreement of 50% goes until a cap of 30%. What I think is exploitative definitionally is that if we invest 20 million and then 30 years, let me finish.
That's not exploitative.
Let me finish. And then 30 years later, we've now made, let's say 500 million and we've only invested 20 million. That to me is exploitative.
Yep, because hold on.
Can someone explain to me what the risk
Born in America section? I'll rip your fucking balls off, okay?
Because all of the benefits that this country is going to get, they're gonna get people who are actually consistently working. Their economy is going to fucking explode in the process of all this, and we should benefit along with that.
I know. I just don't think by giving a $10 million, like in the same way, like okay, let's use a base example, okay? Let's say there's a homeless guy. Would you not say, if I told you this, I'm like, Avery, so I met this homeless guy and I said, hey, I'll like set you up in an apartment and I'll take a risk on you, and I'll make your life better. And I'll spend, let's say 10K in getting you a job, getting you an apartment, getting you, a social insurance number, whatever the fuck, or social security number. Sorry, maybe I'm Canadian. Fuck me. But then after that, I get 50% of your wages forever. And he's like 20. So now after like 30 years, I've gotten maybe like $500,000 off of him because I invested 10K. Would you not see me as a fucking scumbag if I told you I did that? But he's benefiting. I've helped him, right?
Here's the deal with that. Confluence. You're completely ignoring what I'm trying to tell you towards the end. that entire country is now going to be better off. And I'm not talking
Section,
about
you're
small
retarded.
amounts like
You're
10 to 10
actually
million.
retarded. You're actually retarded, Section. I'm sorry. I don't agree with dual citizenship. Like, what do you want me to do?
I don't either.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Then change the fucking law. Call your fucking congressman fucking retards. Holy shit.
I mean, I think my congressman.
I love you, Section.
So
You're being retarded right now. Yeah, that is an ad hom. No, an ad hom would be if I'm discrediting your argument by saying you're retarded. I'm saying your argument sucks. I've discredited it. I'm also saying, in addition, you're also retarded. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're assuming altruism. You're assuming altruism is necessarily a good thing. But what if my ethical intuition is that altruism is limiting and like I should just take care of myself because I'm number one?
I'm just confused as to how you guys think economics works, because if a disaster happens like that to a place that we would donate to, that means we already have some sort of commercial relationship with them usually, and so it would just rebuild as we do business with them.
I know, but I'm saying if we also
Avery,
get their mineral rights, it's
that's
more
not
for
an ad hom.
us.
Section, you don't know how words work. You don't know what an ad hom is. An ad hom is not just an insult. An ad hom is I'm discrediting your argument by talking about some aspect of your character. I'm not. I'm saying I think your argument sucks. I also think you're retarded. Not an ad hom. Okay. Anyway, Avery, what's your response to my homeless example? What's the symmetry breaker between that and countries? Would you see me, I guess, as the scumbag if I did what I said? I invest 10K at the end, then I'm getting 50% of his wages, and I end up making $500,000. Am I a scumbag?
This is the difference. In that instance,
I'd revoke your citizenship, Section. I'd send you back. I'd send you freaking back in a heartbeat, you un-American scum. Yeah, go ahead, Avery. Sorry, I'm getting one guy by Section.
Because every time I try to answer it, you like cut me off. You're like,
I'm sorry. I'm distracted. Okay.
It's fine. Please, my God, let me finish. In that situation, yes, you would be a scumbag. However, when we are talking about let's say it was Haiti, and let's say Haiti had a shitload of oil or some really valuable resource, right? We are going in there, we're helping with the natural disaster, we're putting all this money into that, we're rebuilding their infrastructure, we're rebuilding, this isn't just $10 million, dude, this is billions. This is billions. That's why we're risking billions in the process. So we go in there, we rebuild their infrastructure, it would, to start something up like this, it would be incredibly expensive, and it's not going to be just in the millions, it would be in the billions. But
it's retarded,
you know,
retarded.
Then, okay, sure, it is. I mean, we're going to invest billions into their infrastructure to mine these resources, right? So, however much we invested in it, right? And we're also raising the quality of life for these people by like stupid amounts.
I don't want to cut you off, but I really want you to answer my question about the homeless person, and I want you to tell me what the symmetry breaker is.
I did because there's a difference when it's a country and a person.
What? So you agree it is scummy for me to do that at an individual level, just to get that away?
Yeah,
do you agree?
Yes, on an individual level.
So why is that? But couldn't all the arguments you're using?
I'm explaining it, you jackass!
I don't.
I'm explaining it.
You're saying words. I don't think you're saying what every argument you're saying right now, I could apply to my thing. I'm helping that homeless guy. He would be screwed without me. I'm investing $10,000. That'd be a lot of money to me. I'm investing a lot of money. It's still scummy. I understand a country's not a person.
Then my idea is a stupid, scummy idea. Then never mind. Then you win. You win the fucking argument.
Like, no, I actually want to know.
It's not about winning the argument.
I actually want to know what the symmetry breaker is, because every argument you're using, I feel like I could use to defend my idea of capitalizing on the homeless. And so I don't know why those are. I don't know why one situation is scummy.
For homeless people. I don't think you should do it to homeless people.
There's already
why not though, Avery? Why not? They're down bad. I'm investing my hard-earned resources. I want to turn a profit. Because like Avery, do you understand what I'm saying? At least you get what I'm saying.
The end result of everyone in that country is it's going to be better. Their economy is going to be better. Their government's going to have more money. Everyone has more money.
The homeless guy's going to be better because he's got a job and making money. Like,
exactly, Avery. Like every argument you say applies to the homeless guy.
We shouldn't do that with homeless people, but we should do it with countries because fuck it, we can. How's that? How's that?
I know, you understand that's like not a good symmetry breaker then. It turns out there's no symmetry breaker.
I don't know how to break the symmetry between that. I would explain that to a homeless person because it's immoral.
The homeless person is an American. The homeless person is an American.
It's immoral to do it to anybody.
What if I did it to a non-American? Let's say I found, if that's the sticking point, Kirk. Let's say I found an illegal immigrant and I do the same thing and I pay $10,000 and I get them a good job somehow under the table and I'm recouping. I end up getting 500,000. I would still say that's exploitative for me to do that.
I think that's base. In fact, I would exploit them more. I would deport them to their home country and then do that.
Okay, well,
they need to get out of here.
Okay, well, I agree. I agree with that part, that, you know, that they should probably go back, but I don't agree with exploiting them afterwards, and I don't think you do either, Kirk. I think you're just being a bit silly. You fucking silly Billy.
Oh, he is being
How am I being silly?
Because I don't think you actually believe that. I don't think you believe we should send them back and then exploit them once they're back. At least I hope you don't actually think that.
I don't think the government should, but if a private individual did that, I would be perfectly fine with that.
Really? You actually would, Kirk? You're 10 toes downing, deporting a legal immigrant, and then exploiting them when they're back in their home country.
If
don't tell me later that you're joking. If you're gonna like 10 toes down it, I don't want to hear later if I bring this up and you're like, oh, I was just joking. If you're serious about that, then fine.
I'm 10 toes downing it. Like, okay. This is, like, I don't think...
That's fucking sociopathic. That's sociopathic, Kirk.
What I'm saying is, what if more intuition disagrees with altruism? Like, what if I'm an egoist in my ethics?
This isn't even about altruism at that point. That's about, like... it's fine if you just said send them back and don't help them. That's fine. That's against the altruism. That's something that Section would say, and it's something I would agree with. I don't think Section would say that you should. I mean, Section, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Section would say send them back and then exploit them when they're back in fucking Colombia. Fucking exploit them further.
The government shouldn't. I'm saying a private individual can.
You don't think that'd be morally wrong? This is the problem with being a fucking Noahide. You put stuff down to 7 laws. You can be trans. You can do whatever the fuck you want sexually. You can fucking exploit people. And you're like, I'm following these 7 laws. Fuck off, Kirk. Go back to the 613. Be a real Jew, okay? For real, okay? The 7 laws, they're not enough, apparently.
I don't think that would be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. This is my critique of your Noahide ways. Okay, this is where Noahide leads you. Is to think it's totally fine to exploit somebody just because they're not American, and you've already sent them back. Again, to be clear, they're already back in their home country, and now you think it's fine for a person to exploit them. Your 7 laws are not sufficient to cover these very basic edge cases. Like, is it wrong to exploit somebody? Because that should be pretty. We can argue about what equivalent or what exploitation is.
Right.
There's nothing to do with altruism. Nothing to do. You can be. I'm not assuming altruism.
Is it okay for somebody to exploit you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If you're altruistic, you would say that it's about to exploit someone else. But if you're selfish, you would say that it's in your best interest to take care of yourself, even if it's at the expense of some other person.
Kirk, you believe in God, right? You believe in God. I'm assuming it's a Noahide.
Like you want to be treated.
Wouldn't you be
exploiting selfishness? I'm saying Nietzsche believed in that. You accept Nietzsche's philosophy.
Kirk, I asked you if you believe this. You said I'm 10 toes down in this, and now I'm saying so.
No, I can't say you can exploit them, but not for the altruism. I do believe in some form of altruism, but not as much as Christian altruism.
That's not what I said. You said that it would be fine. It wouldn't be immoral to exploit these people. So you think exploitation is not an inherently bad thing? And
I don't consider that exploitation. I don't consider that exploitation.
Your beliefs say that you are
from the same.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't, because Kirk, you literally said you said the words. You said if a private citizen exploited them, so you can't say I don't consider it exploitation. You said it like 5 times. I asked you if you were 10 toes down. How's that a misspeak?
You were very explicit about it.
Yeah, you were extremely explicit. You repeated it multiple times.
I don't think you should be able to exploit people, but I'm saying if they consensually agree that, you know, if I give you money, you're gonna pay me back even more. I'm fine with that. I don't consider exploitation.
Okay, so you're just saying, I guess it's not exploitation. So you'd be fine if I don't even know. So if someone's in a different country.
It's not exploitation if you have a leveraged, pressured agreement, coerced agreement with them that you have greater benefit from than they do.
Yeah, like Kirk, let's run this into a real example. Let's say I find someone online in Cambodia, and I say, okay, you're in like the slums of Cambodia, and yeah, I'll give you, $500, but yeah, you gotta then work for me, and you'll end up paying me $20,000. Is that is that wrong? Is that exploitative? Or are you saying that's not exploitation? So they're not an American, but I am going out of my way to find some poor Cambodian person and roping them into a shit deal so I could profit 20,000 by giving them 500. Is that exploitation or is it not?
I don't consider that exploitative if they agree.
Yeah, you're a fucking sociopath, Kirk. I'm sorry.
That's fucking insane.
This is why
That's
Jesus is
insane.
important, because Jesus teaches you to teach them better.
Yeah, this is actually unironically why Jesus is important. Because otherwise you end up with this, where you believe in God, but you're so fucking callous somehow that just like none of your views make any fucking sense.
That's straight up some Cain shit.
And I think, Kirk, I don't think you actually believe. I think you're heated, as am I.
Yeah.
But I think you're saying something that I don't think you believe. I'll talk to you maybe in a couple days if this gets brought up again. Because I don't think you actually believe that would be, if I told you I'm doing this and I have like a bunch of Cambodians and I'm paying them small amounts of money and then roping them into contracts where I end up getting like 20x my money back and I'm taking advantage of the fact that they're in poverty or something. I don't think you would say that's a morally fine thing to do. Talk to Jacob and ask him if he thinks that's a fine thing to do. I guarantee you Jacob would not be okay with this. Right? I'm not saying you have to follow what Jacob says.
The Pope of the Jews. There's no Jewish Pope.
I know. I'm just saying I don't think that the people you look up to in the
abstract. We're all talking about different things.
I don't think any of the Jewish people you look up to, Kirk, like your rabbis or whatever, I don't think they would agree with you at all, which is fine. I'm not saying they have to. Like you said, there's no Pope in Judaism. But I'm just saying I think that you hold a position that I don't think any of the Jewish thinkers that you respect would actually hold to.
I respect Ayn Rand to some extent. I think she would agree with that, and she was Jewish.
I don't know. I don't think she would.
Would
That's not the vibe.
The
vibe I get from Ayn Rand might be like against like altruism and stuff and very like individualistic, but it's not like, oh, therefore just like exploit the shit out of anyone who isn't you. That's and like
exploitation.
What?
You're assuming it's exploitation.
Well,
you're assuming it's exploitation.
Yes. Okay. What the example I said, if you don't want to use that word, even though you used it like 20 times, but yeah, if you're saying that's not exploitation, then whatever word you want to use for where you take someone who's in poverty and do this, which you already, by the way, said that would be wrong to do it to a homeless person. But for some reason, if they're a non-American, you're allowed to do that. I don't know. I don't even know how your ethics work that way. So in your ethical framework, is it like worse to kill an American than it is if you went traveling to Vietnam and you killed a Vietnamese person? Did you do a worse thing if you killed the American? Okay, so that's the same thing.
There's a difference between actively killing someone and just, like taking advantage.
But you said it would be wrong to do what I said when I brought up the homeless example. I say I do this to a homeless American. You said that would be wrong, but you're saying it's fine to do it to a Colombian or a Cambodian person, right? So obviously,
it's a different. There's a difference between actively
situation that they had to consent.
There's a difference between killing someone and just like engaging in a contractual relationship.
You're not listening to what I said. You already said that if I did this contractual agreement with a homeless American, you said that was wrong. But when I switched it to an immigrant or a Cambodian, then you're saying that's right. So I'm saying you're making a dividing line there. But with murder, you'd say those are the same things. Can you steal from somebody that's a Cambodian, and is that worse to steal? So then why in this? So why'd you answer? Why'd you say it's wrong? Why can't I do that to a homeless person in America? Why is that wrong?
You can't steal from a homeless person in America or Cambodia. Both
not steal. Why can't I? You said before that it was wrong if I did my situation where I pay a homeless guy $10,000, get him set up an apartment, and then I garnish 50% of his wages in perpetuity. You said that was wrong. So I'm asking you, do you think then that there's different moral standards if someone's an American that you would follow? Why is that wrong? Because you're saying it's not exploitative. So why is it wrong to do it to the American? I guess is what I'm asking.
Because the American is your neighbor.
Okay, so an action that you do to your neighbor can be morally acceptable. That same action can be morally unacceptable. Sorry, but the same action done to someone in a different country, you're saying is totally fine. What's the justification, I guess, for that? Because you're saying with stealing and with murder and with the more like obvious things, you're saying it's the exact same. But when it comes to this situation, one of them is untoward and one of them is totally fine.
Isn't that just giving them permission to do that to you?
Well, the difference is that murder and theft, those are like so bad. There's a there's a degree of badness to them that makes it to where you should never cross the line.
Right, but okay, that's fair. But you said that it's not bad at all to do this to a Cambodian, but it would be bad. So I'm saying, what is bad? What's the bad thing you're doing that when you do it to your neighbor, it's bad, but if you do it to Cambodian, it's no longer bad at all? You're not just saying it's a little bad. You're saying it's totally fine to do it to the Cambodian, but it's totally not fine to do it to the American citizen. I'm asking, what's the difference there? Why there must be something bad, and you just think that bad thing isn't as bad if you're doing it to someone across the world as if you're doing it to your neighbor. But what's the bad thing? Would you say that bad thing's exploitation? Dare I say?
It feels like you're running on some tribal instinct with that, Kirk.
I think instinctually you can see the difference between the degrees of badness between them. Like,
Kirk, you know, I don't have to tell you that that's a shitty argument. You're smart enough to know that's a fucking terrible argument. You're just saying instinctively we know? I understand if you're saying it's worse to do it to an American. At least I can get that, because you're saying, oh, your neighbor, you should treat them better and stuff, so it's worse to do that to someone that's close to you. I mean, I would think stealing is always wrong. I think if I stole off Big Soda, that's worse than me like stealing off some random person. So I agree, actually, that is like the degree of closeness you have with someone is going to determine, like, both are still wrong, but I would say it's a worse thing to do it to someone who you're close with. But I would still say that the act of stealing is always wrong, which so would you. But then when it comes to this exploitation or whatever we want to call it, that somehow goes from being untoward when it's done to an American to being completely morally neutral, at least when it's done to somebody else. And I don't think you've justified that at all.
So if charity is a good thing objectively, but it gets worse the further out you go to give it, why would that sort of exploitation start off bad and get better as you go out and not also get worse as you go out?
Is that directed toward Kirk?
Is that to me?
Yeah. That was Kirk.
Wait, I don't think I said that charity is better when you get out.
No, charity is objectively good, right? Especially when it's like local, but as you go further out, it starts getting worse and worse. So that kind of business arrangement, which can be seen as exploitive, if it's not good-ish to start off with, why would it get better as it goes out? If something objectively good to start off with gets worse.
Because it's not just charity, it's also, you know, using the other person for your benefit.
Is that wrong to do?
Does it even qualify as charity?
Create a chain of events which create more exploitation and more lowering standards of other people's living. What?
Yeah, section. I mean, I hope that's not the case with Kirk. Seeing as Kirk is like a quarter Jewish or whatever.
Wait, what's he saying?
He's talking about the, you know, the Talmudic passages that say that like you can withhold a Gentile's wage and that's fine, but you can't withhold a Jew's wage and stuff like that. So that's not what he said, but I think that's what he's probably, some of the stuff he's thinking of. He says Kirk's views make total sense or whatever. He's part Jew. They totally think it's okay to do that to anyone who isn't Jew.
Oh, I don't think it's okay to exploit people because they're not Jewish. I'm saying that your neighbor comes before people who are not your neighbor.
Yeah, but I agree. That's the incontrovertible part of what you're saying. That's fine. I agree with that. But that's it sounds like you're saying this moral action is not immoral at all to someone who isn't your neighbor. And I can't really think of another example where that would be the case. Like, I can understand why it's worse to lie to someone that is your neighbor or worse to harm them in some way, but I can't think of something that is not a sin if you do it to somebody else that's not your neighbor, but it is a sin if you do it to your neighbor.
I can't understand how it's...
Well, I have an example. In the Torah, Jews are allowed to give usury to other to Gentiles, but not to other Jews.
Right. Do you think that's good, I guess?
Yes, because that's what the Bible says.
Actually, there is a fair point on that. If the other people can't keep up, then maybe they also shouldn't, like that's a cognitive sort of like, they shouldn't be making the rules if they are losing their money to people they say are so vile and inferior.
I guess my thing with the usury thing is like, and I guess you probably disagree with this, Kirk, but like, I don't think charging people interest is like wrong in and of itself. So at least, but I understand we probably read these passages differently. So I don't think it's, yeah, I think that's fair. I think if someone that I cared about came to me for like a loan and I'm like, only if it's 20% interest, I think that's pretty fucked up. Whereas if some random person I don't know, I think it might be fine for me to be like, okay, 20% interest because I'm taking a massive risk. I don't know you from fucking Adam. But I don't think charging interest itself is like inherently wrong. Whereas maybe you would say it would be inherently wrong to do this. It just seems like something that I wouldn't say it's like really a sin either way.
I would say it's wrong for a Jew to do to another Jew, but not for a Jew to do a Gentile, or for a Gentile to a Gentile.
Would it be wrong for a Gentile to do?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Rabbi about that. But does that make sense, Confluence? Because there's different laws for the Israelites and the non-Israelites in the Bible.
Yes, yeah, I don't have a huge problem, but that's mainly because I don't see something like charging interest as something that's just like an inherently like horrible thing. So to me, that like makes sense that someone you're close to, you're going to be like more fine charging them interest than someone you're not close to. And in biblical times, right, that was done under ethnic and religious stances.
It might also matter how you define Jew, because like in the Jewish beliefs, people get into heaven without being officially Jewish, right? So at what point is it just like this person shares enough of our moral foundations, we're not going to take advantage of them, versus this fucking Gentile is a piece of shit, fuck Ibn Nasir, he can go to hell.
I'm not familiar with.
Influence, I told you he believes that way. I should bet you money. Hey, after what Kirk's been saying, I don't know if I would have taken that bet. Okay, he's been saying some very black-pilled things. But I don't think Kirk. I mean, in Kirk's credit, though, I don't think you're saying. Well, actually, I'm not sure, because I know you're not like. Actually, what did Noahides think of the Talmud? Do you still like? I know you don't have to like follow it.
I believe the Talmud is the revealed word of God.
Wait, did Jews even believe that?
Yes. Well, so
Really?
the Mishnah. I think the Mishnah is the Gemara. The Talmud is the opinions of rabbis to interpret the Mishnah.
Okay.
Some of the Talmud is revealed, and some of it is interpretation by the rabbis.
Okay. So I don't know if you've gone into some of the troublesome passages, but do you agree with like the passage that talks about, and I could find it if you want me to send it to you, but the one that says like that it's, if a Gentile like works for you, it's fine to like withhold his wages, but if a Jew works for you, you shouldn't withhold the wages. Do you think that's fine? Do you think that a Jew is totally fine with, if you're like a goy, that they can withhold the wages?
I don't think that's okay, but I've never heard that in the Talmud, so I'd have to ask whether or not that's actually a real verse or that's taken out of context.
Oh, the famous out of I will send it to you. Oh, I will pull it. Oh, I can't pull it up on screen. I can send it to Kirk and I can read it.
Well, I'll ask Rabbi or I'll ask Jacob about it.
Are those your Jew overlords?
That's the Jew popes, really? Okay. Let me see if I can just ask AI to give me the passage, or if it's going to be like, this violates our content use policies. Because I tried this before with a different troubling passage, and it started talking about it, and then it fucking deleted it. And it was like, and I just asked plainly, I was just like, I just want to know what the steel man for what the Jewish people would say. Okay, it's in Sanhedrin 57a. Okay. It is necessary only to teach the halakha of one who withholds the wages of a hired laborer. For a Gentile to do so to another Gentile, and for a Gentile to do so to a Jew is prohibited. But for a Jew to do so to a Gentile is permitted. This case is less obvious than other types of robbery, as instead of taking item from the victim, the robber withholds money that's due to the victim.
I think that's where I about this.
What, Kirk?
So basically, what happened with Bam is okay.
And I'll send it to you if you want to see it. But
for Noah Hyde.
So yeah, well, Kirk, would you? I know you'd have to. You said you'd have to ask, but like, this passage seems kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I'd have to ask Rabbi or Jacob about it to see to work it out.
Is it in reference to a specific event? Like, is this a rule written because someone did something?
I think that's the usual Steelman, if I recall of this, is like, at the time the Talmud is written, the Gentiles were like really persecuting the Jews, you know, which is probably, you know, a common theme throughout history, I suppose. And so this is in some ways justified because of that. So I think, because I've talked to my first conversation with Jacob, I think was about some of the more troubling Talmudic passages. And it seemed to be either like this was the...
they could withhold the wages?
No, it just kind of moves on to, it says the next passage is the Gemara clarifies further. What is the action that is similar to engaging in intercourse with a beautiful woman who is a prisoner of war? And it goes on to say some crazy stuff.
For if you can't
about this.
I'll pay first.
I'm sorry, but I can't answer for myself as a Noahide because I don't have the authority to interpret the Talmud.
Yeah, you're doing the Jew equivalent of talk to your priest, which is fine.
If you don't know how Noahide stuff works, are you really a Noahide?
Yeah. Well, I do know how Noahide stuff works. I didn't know the specific method.
Oh, I'm just saying, because that's like a doubt I have about calling myself a Christian all the time. It's like, I wasn't there. I don't know Jesus like that. Like, I'm not Peter or Paul or anybody. Like, so, am I really Christian? So far removed. Like, even the fucking King James version of the Bible is twice removed from the Greek translation. Not the Greek translation, the Greek recording.
Yeah, but we have modern translations that are direct from the Greek, right? Like, that's true with the KJV, right? It's made in the 17th century.
If you don't understand Greek.
No, but I'm saying the scholars that make modern translations, like the NASB or the ESV and stuff, NIV, right? They're using modern finds, ancient texts, all the fragments. They're doing good scholarship to find out what the Greek actually was saying, right? They're not going like Greek to Latin Vulgate to English, right? They're going straight to the source for Hebrew and Greek.
Yeah, but Confluence again, like Jewish people gave us a lot of good things, and so I think it's hard for me to think that the Talmud would say something bad if Jewish people are so great, like with regards to Einstein's physics and.
Bro, I have some Talmudic passages that I don't even know if I can talk about on stream, Kirk. That involve the number 3. If you know, you know. Okay.
Yeah, Confluence, haven't you said like the Talmud was bullshit on stream when people try to bring up passages and crap? You're like, oh no, that's bullshit. That's this, that, blah blah blah.
No, I've said.
Yeah, well, the thing about that particular one,
I've said.
Like,
wait, I want to clarify for Avery. I've said the Talmud is the worst religious text I've ever read in terms of like people talk about the Quran being violent or the Hadiths. The Talmud has the most repulsive verses out of any religious text I've read in my entire life, and it's not even close. It's not even close.
What's a law versus what's an argument? Because that one's an argument in the Talmud. It's not a law. That 3 one.
It's just mentioned. It is an argument, but it's mentioned in so many places, and there's
more an argument that would probably get him. What's the?
I guess
death penalty.
The thing that bugs me, I guess, with this is like anytime, I think even Jacob said this, and I think this is the standard Jewish thing. They're like, no, Conflict, you don't understand. The Talmud is like rabbis arguing with each other, and so that's why you see the untoward passages and stuff. But you can never find somebody that makes sense on its face. But then, at least me trying to search for like, okay, where's the part where the next guy is like, you're a fucking insane person. What you just said is mental, and here's why. It's not there. So they always say, "Oh, this is just like the
They
rabbi's
can't put
opinions
that
and
in the
stuff."
Bible. That would, like, this is leadership discussions. They would look weak if they did that, and a lot of the Bible is for the purpose of propaganda.
Well, this isn't the Bible; it's the Talmud, right?
The Genesis, it explains how to do that sort of psychological warfare.
Right, but we're not talking about the Tanakh or whatever, right? We're not talking about the Bible. We're talking about the Talmud. To be clear, the Bible stuff is one thing. The real troublesome stuff is in the Talmud, and like I said, the common explanation is that they're just like fighting amongst each other. But you never really hear the second half of those arguments when it talks about the number 3. You never really hear someone be like, "Hold up, that's 3? That's crazy." You never get that. You just get kind of it said, and then it's just, so maybe it's somewhere, but I can't find it. I've searched for it. You just see the
law, right?
The law was, you find nothing like this in the Bible. There's nothing like this that talks about the passages I'm referring to with the 3 thing. That is not in the Bible anywhere. It's not anywhere in the Bible. There's nothing even at hints at that in the Bible. That's entirely like a Talmud original. That's the problem. So you can't punt to like you can't go to like the Torah and find some example there. It just doesn't exist. It's just something they came up with, in the rabbinical period.
Well, so look at Rebecca for setting the standard of when a girl becomes a woman, right? She's mentioned as a young woman when she's carrying jugs of water.
Right. Do you think she was like 4?
No. She's carrying jugs of water. She is at least in her mid-teens. She is a functional member of society.
Right.
And so I would assume that the people who proposed those arguments about 3 are only recorded because we don't hear about them again.
What do you mean? We don't hear about them again?
You said there's no more arguments presented after that, right?
No. What I mean is that
against the law.
No.
God's law.
No. That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not
the law.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I wish that's what I was saying, Seth. I wish that's what I was saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the common defense when I've talked to someone like Jake or when I've looked this up myself is that no, the Talmud specifically is Jews arguing. I know, but I'm saying it ends up not being the case. So it's like you just have the Talmud saying this stuff, which again, the Jews respect the Talmud as right, Kirk pointed out, right? They think that a lot of it's the word of God and stuff. And so you have the Talmud saying these deplorable things, and there's no real pushback. So that's my point, is like they say there's pushback, there's not. There's no one that comes in and says that's crazy, that should be against the Torah. There's no second voice that enters in from what I've seen. It's just one guy saying some absolutely deplorable, god-awful stuff with no pushback, and then he just moves on. And so it's like, there's
not gonna tell you what your judgment should be on that argument. It tells you what God's judgment is.
I don't know what you're saying, Seth. This is the Talmud.
The Bible tells you
the Talmud's not the Bible. I don't know. I don't want to make sure we're not talking past each other. The Talmud's not a part of the Bible. Do you want to just to make sure we're on the same page?
Yeah, it's sort of.
The Talmud is completely separate from the Bible. It's not. It's like
it's talking about the same stuff as the Bible.
It's oral traditions that are talking about the Bible, but it itself is not the Bible. So I'm not. So this stuff, like the 3 thing, is not mentioned in the Bible at all.
Right, because the Bible is the code of laws, and the Talmud contains all the arguments used to make the laws written in the Bible.
No, not really. No, it's almost the opposite. The Talmud is like taking these laws. Like if it says like don't work on the Sabbath, the Talmud is like, okay, what precisely do we mean by work? Can you do X? Can you do Y? Does this count as work? Does this not count as work? So it's argument. Right, but it's not trying to justify that you're putting the cart before the horse. It's not trying to justify the Torah or the rest of the Old Testament. It's trying to, when God says this is like sexually immoral, what precisely is sexually immoral? We're going to expound on that. So it's taking that as a foundation, it's expounding upon that. And so when it comes to stuff like the sexual stuff, then we get stuff like the three thing. That's not in the Bible at all. There's nothing that would hint at that, but this is the Jews talking and be like, oh, you know what? Actually, this is how we're going to like codify things and stuff.
Actually, I think it's in Numbers, the death penalty is prescribed for sexual assault of all kinds. So if
right, what does that have to do with the three thing though?
It would be sexual assault, so death penalty.
Right, but that's, I mean we might be talking about different passages here. Like I'm talking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Is it acceptable to do
something in the Torah? So that argument in Talmud probably got that dude killed, and that's why there's no more arguments after that, because it's established in the Torah what the punishment is for that behavior.
That would be a fine. That's a fine
argument violated already.
That's a fine theory, but no Jew will ever say that. So that's not what they go with. No Jew will ever say that part of the Talmud is completely wrong, and that's why there's no back and forth, because everyone knew that was wrong, and we all reject this. They will not say that. If you're Orthodox, you can't say that.
That argument makes sense to you?
No, Kirk would not. Kirk would be going against his views if he said that.
That's what I'm asking you.
That's what I'm saying. I have to stick with the tradition as I understand it.
Right. See, like no one can say that if you're truly Jewish.
Established that such activity would be met with the death penalty because it constitutes sexual assault.
But it has to. These things have to be interpreted and contextualized. And then the thing is, I can only go to my rabbis for interpretation. I know it's like, kind of cop out, but
you can also discern it. You were made in God's image too, right?
I know, but that's just not how we understand interpretation. Like, there's a codified interpretation that the rabbis have that we consult them for this interpretation.
I'm not afraid to make my own. Like, I will talk to a rabbi about it if I have doubts and stuff, but I'm not going to accept their words. They oftentimes I doubt they would even render a explicit kind of judgment on it, and more just talk around the subject, trying to get you to think about it and render your own.
Yeah.
See, Seth, I wish they would say the stuff you're saying, but they're committed to thinking that the Talmud is correct, and what they might disagree on is like how it's interpreted and stuff, but they are committed to that. They like, maybe like a more liberal Jew is gonna like be like, you know what, yeah, these passages are crazy.
Popular ones. Right, those are the ones that get attention because it's unusual, but probably not the most common views of it. Like, would you say the most common?
The most common view is that these passages are true, and they just have to be, interpreted in the correct way.
Someone definitely made that argument.
But you're not. It's not like you have the latitude in any type of Orthodox Judaism to like say these are just wrong. The Talmud is just wrong here. Like the best you'll get is like I understand why this seems untoward to a modern culture.
Because you got to look at it more as court record, the fucking type thing where they're repeating what's said in court, right? Like, yes, what was said was truly said in court because it's on these papers, but we have to render our own judgment upon it, especially when it's an argument and not a law.
I wish they said that, Seth, but they don't say that. They don't say that. You'd be outside of Orthodox Judaism, or even like what's the other one, Reform Judaism. If you said that, you could maybe be some type of like Reconstructionalist to liberal Judaism. That's fine. But like, that's why you'll never catch like any like normal rabbi saying that. They'll just say, we understand how it's like bad in a modern landscape and stuff, but they'll never say this is a bad passage that we disagree with. We disavow this. They'll never say that. They can't say that. And in the same way that you'll never catch a Christian, even if you look at some untoward thing about like the slaughter of the Amalekites, it's like they really can't say, oh, this was a bad, horrible thing. This is God commanding the slaying of a bunch of people, and we disagree with this. You're not gonna get like most like evangelicals or Catholics or Orthobros saying that, because they can't say that, because the Bible is the word of God. So there has to be like some explanation. It's the same thing with the Talmud, right?
because it's war. It's already a complex situation, right? Like we weren't there. We can't render judgment upon it. That's half of Jesus's point in the Bible.
Right, but
that's you gotta know when to reserve judgment and when to give judgment. And the Jews, the Noahites, whoever you want to say they are, those orthodoxies, they do use their discernment all the time. And it's also a problem when they stop using their discernment, regardless of whether or not they accept it. Looking at abortion, it's in the Talmud and Torah that if someone bumps into a pregnant woman and she miscarries, they are liable for property damage and not for murder, because the validity of the fetus was in question to begin with up to several weeks after birth. But the mortality rate has changed from like 10% mortality rate in birthing to 6 in 1,000 infants die in birth. So should the abortion laws not be changed to reflect that? That is discernment, and that is entirely within their views, right? Like that is more strictly their views than they actually implement. If it's, you know,
right, I guess, and yeah, I mean, it's not like, yeah, I don't want to like oversell this. I'm not saying, like, I guess to your point, right, in the same way that the abortion stuff can be reimagined and stuff. It's not like if I talk to Jacob, it's not like Jacob's gonna say, yeah, you know what, the three thing, that's fine. We should do this now. In fact, he's not gonna say that, obviously, right? It's not like they're gonna, but he's also not gonna like disavow the passage. There's gonna be like some sneakery, which again, but Christians do this as well. So like, I'm not even trying to like necessarily cast aspersions. It's just the Talmudic passages happen to be far more like vile on their face than like anything in like the normal Bible is. But Christians do the same stuff in their Bible too, where it's like something that if it was in any other religious text, we'd all say that's fucking insane, right? But because it's in our religious text, we find some way to like steelman it or like justify it. But so it's like, yeah, so I don't want to say that like that, yeah, that if someone talks to Jacob, it's not like Jacob's gonna be like, you know, yeah, I actually agree with this for modern society. But there's going to be some degree of kind of a waffling about how, you know, it's contextual and it's, you know, you got to understand, you got to read it in context, but the context never is really clear. There's no real, you know, but that's just kind of how it all works, I guess. That's religion for you.
I thought of it like that for a long time, but as I investigated different parts of the Bible and came to understand hard lessons about why I may just not know everything about a situation which intuitively feels unjust. The story of Job, right? Like, I forget if it's the Talmud or the Midrashic text, but it's the only mention of who Job was outside of the book of Job. That it could have been a Pharisee, one of the Pharisees who stayed silent about the Pharaoh's killing of the firstborn Jews. And so that would make the story of Job a retribution of God, and one of those poetic justice things where God stayed silent while Job was being harmed, just like Job stayed silent while the other Jews were being slaughtered.
I mean, but the problem with that, I mean, that isn't just like, there is a lot of copium there, because we are told, I was talking about this on stream a couple days ago, where we're told why Job is suffering. Like, you almost have to take the text in some metaphorical way for it to be like moral, because we're told that Job is blameless. That's given at the beginning, and it's a bet between God and Satan, right? Like that. So it's like it's not like it says he's blameless. It doesn't say that he remains silent or like that's all stuff that, you know, people will try to like say to make this story just. I get with the I'm not saying, again, the Talmud I think is especially bad, because there is steelmans you can make, like William Lane Craig has done for like the slaughter of the Amalekites, that like God could theoretically know that maybe every single one of these people would turn out to be just fully evil. So this was actually the best option. It sounds cold, but it's at least conceivably logically possible. The 3-year-old thing, that's something that really is like not steelmanable in my mind.
This story is purposefully constructed in order to play with the reader's perspective like that. It is exploring the first person, omniscient second person, and the author's relationship with the reader, right? When the author says Job is a righteous man, you trust the author. When God is the one, God says Job is a righteous man, but does he say Job has done no wrong ever? And Job is sinless.
Testy, why did you post this? Sorry, Testy posted something. a very perspicacious Twitter message that everyone should click on. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but it's just not. I don't know, anything. We're just doing stuff to add to the text. Les Chief says, thank you, Con, for admitting that all religious people are coping hard. Look, yeah, there's a little bit of cope. And anytime you take a text, like, literally, you're going to have to engage with a little bit of cope, okay?
Well, to some degree, because it's just a matter of you don't know everything. But at the same time, confidence is built from testing. Right, I know it's like, don't test God, don't tempt God. It's not don't test, it's don't tempt. Right? It's not tempting to just go through the Bible and be like, okay, these are parts that really don't make sense to me. These are things that I find personally offensive on a moral sense. God, what am I doing wrong?
Right, but I think I still want to draw the distinction, even though I admit that there is cope that happens both ways. There is at least, like I said, with William Lane Craig, or with your even Job thing, there is ways that maybe you could, like, you could either say it's metaphorical, you could say it's allegorical, you could say there's some other explanation we don't know about, right, with the Amalekite stuff. There's a lot of, like, avenues to go down. The problem, I think, with some of the more troubling Talmudic passages is I can't even imagine, and I've tried to find the best steelmans. There's really nothing there. I mean, like, how do you possibly steelman those passages? Like, there's no way. Argument? But that's not what they have to. They have to accept that the Talmud is a true book.
Yeah, it's true in that argument was made by that person.
No, that's not what they say, Seth. Like, again, what if that's what they said? That would be great. They don't do that. They can't say that.
The same thing with them, and they would probably just get frustrated.
Yeah, like, so maybe, like, I understand as a goy, as am I, right? We might be like, yeah, that would be the best if they just said that. This is something a guy said. It's not to be taken seriously. That guy was, like, crazy. They can't do that. That's why they don't do it. That's why you're not going to find a rabbi who's an actual rabbi in any type of, like, Orthodox or even Reform thing that will ever say what you're saying, right? So that's what I'm trying to, like, get across to you, right? They are incapable of doing that. They can't do that.
That doesn't apply to everyone of that religion. Those are people that are entrenched in the institution, right? And you find that everywhere. But it applies to, like, the vast majority of the people that actually take their religion at all seriously. Like, besides, like I said, the most, like, liberal strains of Judaism, right? Everyone else is going to have the same kind of bog standard, you know. Hey, it's, yeah, you have to read in context, but no context given. But we don't think it should apply to the modern day, but there's going to be some justification. You're never just going to say this was a crazy person saying crazy nonsense that no one should ever believe. They're never going to say that. Oh yeah, lukewarm Jew.
Well, that's the kind that might go say what you're saying. It would be the most lukewarm. Yeah, it would be like the kind that Kirk was a part of, where they had, like, a female rabbi or whatever, you know. It's going to be like the fucking crazy, the open orthodoxy. Like, maybe they would say it, but no known person, right? It's in the same way that with the Christians. Yeah, if you go liberal enough, people will just say the Amalekite story, it didn't even happen. Like, you can say, if you're, like, that liberal of a Christian, you can just be like, that part of the Bible, that's not even real, man. You have the latitude to say that. If you're any type of, like, normal Christian, you can't say that. Right. You can't just throw that passage away.
It is pretty fucked up that is the dichotomy. You're either that super liberal Jew or the super conservative institutionalized Jew. Because I feel like I just demonstrated with my interpretation of the abortion laws that I am actually more in line with the Jewish faith by having my law adapt to changes in God's creation and our revelations.
Yeah, but I think you haven't thought about what happens when you like start to pull these strings apart, right? It's like it's the same with like the liberal, like there is. I'm not saying it's like a totally like binary situation, but there is like a cutoff point where you're like outside of like the normal Christianity and you're in like fucking La La Land, and that would be the types. Because if you're taking the text seriously at all, at least you'd have to say these passages are allegorical or they're at least something. It's only when you go so far outside that you can be like, you know what? I can just reject that these Bible verses are even a part of the Bible at all. They were just put in there by mistake, or they're just flat out wrong, right? You do have to go outside of the fold to some degree, and I think that's the same with Judaism, right? You'd have to go so far out to be like, this isn't even true. What this guy said is just fucking crazy. That's what you'd have to say. And to say that, you'd have to like reject that the Torah is in any way the word of God at all. You'd have to say it's just random people saying stuff.
I don't think it can work like that. Like, you can't reject the legitimacy of the text. You can reject interpretations of it, but if you're rejecting the legitimacy of the text, then you're not of that faith.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's no, what's the context or what's the interpretation of like the 3-year-old thing? Like, there's no good interpretation of that, right? Besides just to say that, hey, there's some type of unknown context that's never disclosed that somehow makes everything fine. Right? It's not like there is like some good justification of this. So if that was because it's so specific, it's not like the Amalekite thing where maybe you could come up with some, like I said, William Lane Craig's argument, you come up with some workaround. It's so clear, it's so crazy, it's so like against what we all know to be moral.
You're probably gonna write it down. It's like, yo, I can't believe this dude said this.
Rich says, I wish I could focus on a conversation, but all I hear is, oh, wow! Yeah, having this conversation with Mario in the background is a fucking mood, okay?
Confidence, how much this you going for?
How what?
How much fun are you going for?
Probably another half an hour to an hour, maybe.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in about now because I do. There's another stream I want to go to, but it was good talking to you guys. But yeah, I mean, I'll consider what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, you have to understand what my position. I think this is like this is my religion, and so I would have to ask someone with more knowledge about the religion than I have.
Yeah, and I understand that. I'm not trying. That's why I'm not trying to like press you for a definitive answer, because I understand what you're saying.
You guys both have the same knowledge, right? You both believe in the same text.
Well, no, we don't.
No, I'm talking about like who Kirk would talk to.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing because there's a context of knowledge to interpret the text. And it was good talking to you guys, Confluence.
Take care, Kirk. I mean, maybe we'll hear back from Kirk and he'll have. I mean, I've talked to Jacob about this too. I feel like Kirk's just gonna say the same thing Jacob, I guess, said to me, which has left me wanting. Has left me wanting.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna go talk to his rabbi, and his rabbi is gonna talk around the subject and try to get him to render his own judgments.
I wish that was the case, but it's gonna be vagaries. It always is. It's always vagaries.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the problem, but it's not like Christians are immune to this at all. It's just that the Talmud is unique in having very disgusting and very direct passages that are, that's a benefit, at least of the Jewish Torah and stuff, right? Is that at least it's like there's quibble points that you can have and like try to be like, oh, this is out of context, this is this. But if the religious text is super clear about the specifics, like the Talmud is very specific. I mean, the Talmud is a very fucking huge fucking collection of texts. It gets very difficult to.
What they are using in propaganda when they go to war, right? Is accusing people of those arguments that you're saying are problematic in the Talmud.
Do you mean like the pogroms and stuff? Like when people are like going against the Jews?
Yeah, like the Baal worshippers and the friggin' all them other Satan worshippers, like witches, and it's a very common thing that they encountered.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That's the kind of sketchy thing about discussing it, is that, I mean, that's probably why when I tried to ask ChatGPT about the more like graphic ones, even though I asked it in a very neutral way, and I'm like, I'm just trying to understand what a Jewish perspective would be on this, it started talking and it's like, this content violates our content policies, and I'm like, well, how? I'm just literally asking for like the best steel, man. But I also understand that obviously, you know, yeah, the Talmud is going to be used, you know, I mean, even for me, the reason I know about a lot of this stuff is from people that I don't like people like Dan Bilzerian or like Nick Fuentes, right? But it's like, it's not like what they're quoting is wrong, right? In fact, I think the first time I became aware of this was Dan Bilzerian on Pierce Morgan, and he started like quoting these like insane Talmud passages, and my first thought was like, this is a crazy person, which Dan Bilzerian is a crazy person, to be clear. I still hold that view, but I was like, this can't be right. There's got to be there's no way this is in the Talmud. This is like some conspiracy theory stuff. But then it was like, it is in the Talmud. And so I understand the thing where you're in a situation where the most people are going to be like bringing this up are going to be people that are like trying to leverage it in maybe an untoward way for their own like personal anti-Semitic goals and stuff. But the passages also exist, and so it's like, you know, it's a hard thing to talk about because you don't want to like contribute to, you know, some degree of anti-Semitism, but there also are legitimate passages that do exist that when you hear about them, you're like, well, I want to fucking know what the answer to this is because this sounds fucking crazy, right?
Well, that's because the world was crazy back then, and people like to transfer blame. So they'll look at the crazy people mentioned in the Bible and put that on the people who wrote the Bible, and put that on the people who read the Bible.
Right, but again, just to be clear, this is not in the Bible. I just want to point, the Bible's not that crazy. The Bible gets crazy. It doesn't get
in general.
Talmud text crazy. But yeah, I mean, this happens with sacred text. I mean, it's the same thing with like Aisha. You talk to a Muslim about Aisha, it's like, unless they're like a super liberal Muslim, they're just gonna have to 10 toes down that she was the age that the fucking, you know, Quran or the Hadith say that she was, right? We just have to accept that, and she was a very untoward age for what was going on, you know. But when I talk to Muslims that like sincerely believe what they believe, like they have to just accept that. They're like, hey, it's the culture, it's fine if you think about it. Maybe it's not fine now, but at the time it was. What else are you gonna do? I understand it, right? You're not gonna say that Muhammad was some type of, you know what, right? So you just have to kind of be like, hey, this was for some reason. This was fine.
Say Muhammad was ungodly every time, and that's the distinction between what we see with the Talmud, Torah, and the Quran. Is we see God behaving godly in the Bible, from the Talmud to the Torah to the New Testament, and then we see something entirely different with the Quran.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no fan of the Quran. But it is, I'm just saying it's the same type of religious instinct, I guess, to like have to defend the text no matter how untoward, you know?
Talking about like patterns of behavior, lining up to prophecies. I'm not even talking about like any moral sense. This is the structure of the texts. It reads a specific way, and once you get into the pattern of that, the answers start revealing more easily, and a part of that came from starting with that Job thing. Like, that was a big wall for me until I asked, well, okay, what if I don't trust the author so much as God's judgment, and just say, what did Job do wrong, and look for that regardless of the fact that it says Job was a righteous man.
But I guess then, like, I'm not sure this distinction that you're drawing, I guess, because so like there's passages right in the Bible where you could be like, hey, this is just the author writing, but when it says like God spoke this and it gives the direct words of God, I mean, a person still wrote that down. So like, how, if you're distrusting the author on what he's retelling the event, then why would you all of a sudden trust that when he says, thus saith the Lord, that the Lord actually said that? Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
because
why not?
The author is already inside the reader's head. The author knows how it's going to be read the first time, what else was written in the Bible, and prophecies suggest that he knew some of what would go after in order to manipulate the views of the reader and encourage this higher critical thinking. That's the whole point of these sacred texts, when you get to the evolutionary core of it, the physical process of growth that comes with the preservation and building of law.
I'm still not really sure if I understand what you're saying. Like, why would we? I'm probably just repeating myself. Maybe I'm just like not following what you're saying. But why? If you're drawing a distinction between this is what people said, this is what God said. What I'm asking is, the same people that are giving you kind of the backstory are also telling you this is what God said. So if we're distrusting them on the backstory, like if we're saying when it says Job was a righteous, blameless person, if we're saying they're wrong about that, then when God shows up at the end of Job and starts talking, well, that's written by the same guy that wrote the other stuff. How do we know he's transcribing this accurately? How do we know that God actually said those things, right? If we're gonna reject what he said and be like, oh, he's just a fallible human and he's like making stuff up here, or he's wrong, then why would we all of a sudden trust his transcription abilities of what the Lord actually said? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
It's not that the author is wrong in what happened, right? Like, Job can be a righteous man and have done something wrong at the same time. You know,
how can he be blameless if there's something to blame him for? If the Jews are right from what you said,
is what he did wrong, and that's the play on words and why it fits so well with Job.
It doesn't say he did. It doesn't say that though. It doesn't say Job did nothing. It says he's blameless.
And ask these questions which contradict yourself, and you can blame yourself for, like, okay, I'm gonna accept this and ask this hard question of what did Job do wrong? Even though the Bible said that's straight up heresy, right? But you gotta have enough trust in yourself to ask those hard questions.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think those are fine questions to ask. I'm not saying they're not. But
the answer?
What?
And pursue the answer?
Yeah, but I guess it's just at some point you're going to be moving into, like, I guess, extra biblical stuff, like with the Jewish example. If you, like, to me that seems more heretical than like how I would view Job, and I'd probably view Job in a very heretical way, where I would just say probably this is like some strange allegory. I don't think this bet between God and Satan actually happened at all. That's what I would say, and I understand it's very liberal, but I'd say that just flat out didn't happen.
Of heaven and hell, right? Like, that is very unique in the Bible. That is not anything on creation. That is between God and Satan. So, you know, we shouldn't be privy to that conversation. That's a private conversation between God and Satan. What the fuck?
Right. The whole thing is just like, it's very bizarre. And so, in my direction, it's supposed to. Right, but then. Right, but then you're kind of saying, no, we should actually think of what Job did wrong. I think the text is very clear, if we're just reading it as a text, that Job did nothing wrong.
I think it's Jewish humor.
From the window to the wall.
Job was a righteous man. You know, sarcasm. Like,
see, and I guess,
and that's a running pattern that God does. I mean, we don't know what Job did wrong. We're not supposed to know, unless we are bothered enough to go figure it out.
I just think, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I guess, I mean, it's fine. The direction you're going in, I guess, is fine. I don't have a problem with that or anything, because I'm going in a, wild direction too, by just saying, look, I don't think this whole thing is like allegorical. I don't know if there was like even a person named Job. If there was, I don't think he was like being punished for, because of a bet. But I guess it's fine to also think maybe he could have done something wrong, I guess, but I think if we're looking at the text, I don't see, I guess, it's possible, obviously. Job is one of like the earliest texts that we have, right? It's incredibly old, so it's very hard to exactly know what's going on. So maybe it is just meant to be ironic, and Job was actually blameful the whole time. But it would just seem weird to me that God never
didn't do anything. What could he be blamed for?
Right,
Job asked, "What did I do wrong?"
Right, but it's not like we're ever told. Yeah. To me, there's no hints in the text that would like indicate that like that he did or didn't do something that he ought to have done. I think the text is pretty clear. Even what?
That if you do nothing, it's wrong. If you read the story of Job and you feel that injustice, but you do nothing about that injustice, you're wrong. Investigate the story of Job, or you're just like Job.
I don't think it says that anywhere, and I don't think that's even like hinted at in the text, I guess, is my issue. Like, I think that's us trying to like.
God did nothing wrong.
I mean, that's not said in the text either, right? That's just something that we assume because we don't think God can do something wrong, but it's not said in the text that God did nothing wrong to Job.
He literally did nothing. He did nothing to protect Job. That's what God did. Nothing to protect Job.
Yeah,
He didn't take
yeah.
after him. He didn't put those plagues upon Job. It wasn't. God just did nothing. Just like what the Talmud Midrashic texts say Job did. Nothing.
He offered Job
like the
to
Bible says
Satan.
He did nothing wrong.
What, Tampa?
Do you see the pattern?
He offered him to Satan.
Yeah. He's like, have you considered my servant Job? So I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know, Seth, because it sounds like, first of all, yeah, God was the one who suggested Job. Tampa's right, and also it's like God did do stuff. Like when Satan would ask, can I harm this? God's like, okay, you can take away his family or his sheep or whatever, but just don't harm a hair on his head. So God is at least
that would
like
be suggesting God wasn't doing anything for Job to begin with.
No,
God did less for Job progressively.
Right, but if God is saying you can do this, but you can't do that, then God, you would say that is doing. I mean, that is doing something, right? It's not like he just said have a field day and you could do anything you want, right? Like there was specific guidelines that Satan could do and couldn't do, and it seems like he had to follow those things, right?
Yeah, before Satan couldn't do anything because God was stopping doing anything. Now God isn't stopping him from doing this, but if Satan does something other than that, then God will stop him. You know, God's still protecting Job in some ways. So God's not doing nothing for Job. There's still, like, he can't kill Job, but God's doing nothing to protect Job along these lines. He's not telling Satan, because Satan's going to do that anyway. God was stopping Satan to begin with. That's Satan's whole deal. He doesn't need encouragement.
I mean, I guess that's possible. I guess maybe, I mean, if the Jews are right and there's supposed to be some poetic irony because he was a fair, I guess I just don't say it in the text. Like, it's possible that maybe, he was someone that didn't do something during the Pharaoh stuff. And so now God is like treating him the same way by doing nothing as well. But there's just nothing in the text that even like hints at that or indicates that at all. It's like, it's possible.
Yeah, that's because it's trying to teach you, the reader, a lesson. That's the whole structure of the Bible.
I mean, possibly. I mean, it just seems like, I don't think it's like intrinsically in the text. I think Job just seems so untoward that we have to read something into it because we're like, this is like so absurd that there's got to be some reason. God would surely not act so unjustly toward Job. And so I think we're just like, we're left kind of like trying to come up with some explanation, and the Talmud, I guess from what you're saying, has chosen that explanation. I just don't know if that's, I think I don't think that's inherent in the text. I think it's just we find that, I think the real truth is it was written so early on that they didn't really consider that to be like super
real interpretations of text. But
right, but then I care about,
okay, but like you can't have the same text and history of the text and remove that.
Well, you can't. I'm saying you don't get, from the text, you don't get anything about that Job actually secretly did nothing, and that's why he's being punished, because he did nothing when he should have done something. That I'm saying that you don't get that from the text.
Secret.
What?
Like, it's not secret. There's a degree of privacy, right? God doesn't outright tell us.
He doesn't. I wouldn't even say he implicitly tells us. There's nothing in there that would, like, what. Like, I mean, I feel like
Job repented repeatedly, but he didn't acknowledge that not doing anything, not pulling the lever on the trolley, is still resigning.
I guess, like, that's, again, this is a fine theory, but is there any verse in Job that you would like point to that you think like supports this at all? Like, it sounds like you're just talking about the story on like a macro level, which is fine if you're saying it's not implicit in the text. If you're saying it somehow is, then it's like, well, I guess what are the verses you're looking at to see this?
Not explicit. And
okay, so then I guess, so what verse then? If it's implicit, then there has to be some amount of verses that you'd point to be like, this is where we find this idea, right? You can't just like, just be like, well, it's just somewhere in there in a vague, non-specific way that I can't point to.
The first thing is You already mentioned it, that conversation with Satan, right? That right there is a clear flag that this story is different from most of the other stories in the Bible. It sets a particular tone for how we're supposed to approach these situations in which we doubt God.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine saying that Job is a story of doubt and about God being in charge and about suffering. I think those ideas are obviously like in the text. But the fact that Job is actually not blameless, again, I just see when the Bible explicitly says the opposite, I just don't see a reason besides just like trying to understand how God could do this. And so Job must have done something wrong. I think that's the wrong direction to go. Because when I look at Job, I mean, I think that's fucking life. It's like bad things happen, and it's not like you did anything to piss off God. Just bad shit happens, you know? Like, to me, that's the more like obvious like message of what they were probably trying to struggle with at the time. And they're like, look, even this guy who did nothing wrong, he's still like losing everything, and his like kids die, and his wife tells him that he should just fucking kill himself. And you know, this is just,
how is that anything like the messages of the Bible where God will protect you and reward you?
Well, that's the thing. Well, because Job was one of the earliest texts, right? Job was like, I think the consensus among scholars is that it was written like before like the Pentateuch and stuff, like before Genesis to like Deuteronomy, right? So it's very unlike the other texts because for a reason, right? I mean, first of all, it's like poetic in nature, but also, yeah, it's like it was written a lot before all his other stuff was written. So it is a very bizarre story. But it's obvious to me. It's obvious that it's like people trying to grasp with like the vicissitudes of life and why bad things happen to good people, right? Because like that's an obvious thing that just happens. Because obviously, even in the rest of the Bible, it's like, yeah, there's these promises, but obviously these people, they would still get cancer, they would get diseases. It's not like they were like immune to this. And I'm sure just like everyone has, they're like, why did this happen to me specifically, right? Why not somebody else? What have I done, right? And I feel like Job is probably it's a very like primal human thing to think, right? If you believe in God, be like, why would God let these bad things happen to me? So to me, that feels like the much more natural reading is just like an expose on like suffering and like why bad things happen to people that don't fucking deserve it. I think it's a bad direction to go in to actually, because what would that mean if we're saying Job actually did something? What's the actual lesson there, right? Like, Seth, if you think about it, what's the actual lesson that anytime if you get cancer, Seth, then you must have done something wrong? That's just, maybe you didn't act in some way, maybe you should have prayed harder. Like that's to me, that's like a worse book. Like that to me, that's like, that would be crazy, right?
The discussions on suffering are handled pretty explicitly with Jesus and among other texts. This isn't about Job's suffering being a natural thing that can just be like comforted through or whatever.
How is it handled by Jesus? What does Jesus say about that you think it's handled so explicitly? Because
what Jesus says about suffering? About the causes of suffering?
Yeah.
I have to look it up. I know he talks about it. There's a bunch of different. It's normally really specific. Like they don't do generalized things. It's going to be a really informationally dense allegory or.
See, I would contend that there's not. Jesus does not tell us about, you know, just that suffering is acknowledged as the thing that happens. Jesus doesn't give us some like theodicy to explain the problem of evil.
In the Gospel of John, he openly tells his disciple, John 15:20, in this world you will have trouble. Sometimes following his teachings will bring rejection and prosecution.
Right, how does that doesn't...
Tribulation, John 16:33, take heart, I have overcome this world.
None of these, this is, Seth, pause. This is all, everything you're reading is just like, we assume suffering happens, but things will get better. Don't worry. That's what all this can be summed up as. There's like, that's all it can be summed up as.
Job is entirely different, right? It's not just a generalized
Job is dealing with.
And this is
I don't know. No, hold on. You're saying Jesus explicitly gives answers that he does not. He just acknowledges suffering is a thing. You will suffer, but don't worry. I've overcome the world. It'll somehow get better. But there's no actual talk about like the injustice of suffering or why we suffer or any of that stuff. That is just like not found. So I'm saying Job is one of the ones that like, this is like the unfairness of suffering. This is the randomness, right? The sheer capriciousness that the fates seem to hold, right? That's what Job deals with, at least in my mind.
Does it ever link that
that's expressed,
Father
but that's
that Jesus
expressed every
talked
time
about
someone
to
suffers from the Bible. Everyone's always like, "Why
the Old
me?" when they
Testament?
suffer.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
You
it
know,
does
it's
link
like
that.
not
It does
unique
link
to
that,
Job.
Tampa. Because Jesus
Where's
will like
that at?
quote, like Jesus will quote from the Old Testament and say like, didn't God
Right, I
say?
understand
and then Jesus
that,
will. Right. So then I guess what are you asking?
I'm thinking there's something of like there's a bigger one above Yahweh. Like Yahweh was not the ultimate source of everything.
Jesus Christ is the one Lord of hosts.
Are you like demiurge coded, Tampa?
I've got some Gnostic stuff, so.
Okay, based. I mean, I don't like the demiurge idea, but the Gnostic stuff. Don't threaten me with a
I'm
good
not
time.
sure about all the specifics because I got here through the Bible. It took about 10 years, but I ended up in all kinds of different religions. It's sprinkled everywhere. I don't think one is specifically correct.
Yeah, I'm sometimes, tempted by a type of syncretism where I will kind of draw on different texts and religions to, because I think there is truth in other religions. I think it's helpful to look into that stuff. So
absolutely, and it says to question everything and keep tested to the spirit and keep that which is true, or keep that which is good, and that's pretty much what I've done with it all. So.
Yeah, I think that's good.
But that's my heretical view on Job, is that Yahweh was not perfect. And that's why Jesus was able to come and kick him out and get the right hand of the Father.
Well, I was saying and I don't agree with this idea at all. I was sharing this with Testy the other day on one of my streams that Carl Jung, when he wrote Answer to Job, that his thing was that's why Jesus came to die, was because God did such a disservice to Job and like royally fucked him over, that's why God sent his son to sacrifice him for that. Now I don't think that's really necessarily true, but Job did seem to get royally shafted in that story, like, and just a literal reading of it.
Yeah,
Rich says bad shit happens because you're in a
through...
fallen world of sin. Your job is to have faith in. I'm just kidding. Your job is to have faith and follow the will of God.
He gets it.
I think, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, well, the author said this, but if we're trusting God and we have a generalized idea that this bad shit happened to Job, why would God let this bad shit happen to Job?
I guess my thing is like, this happens all the time, right? I feel like that's my thing I keep coming back to, right? This, like, I understand you're saying that the Old Testament sounds like God's going to protect his people, but obviously they still suffered from disease. They still suffered from infant mortality. They still miscarried. They still had a bunch of untoward things happen to them that wasn't necessarily their fault, right?
Yeah,
so
but
to me, I just think that's
better progressively as long as they were following God.
It did, but there's always just going to be the normal stuff that's just, bad, right? It's not, unless you think that the Old Testament, that like just nobody got like plagues or illnesses unless they did something bad, right? Like, I think in Job there's an acknowledgement that, look, you have the most righteous person and there's still just like shit happening, I don't know if we're gonna really get around that, but okay, Confluence has to go to bed. It was nice talking to all of you. Thank you K2 and Testy for the super chats, and thank you Seth and Tampa and everyone else who's on panel for the great discussion. And I will be live tomorrow, inshallah. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm covering. Actually, I might be on the Shuli Networks thing, which hopefully I'll try to restream that so everyone can watch. Okay, the puppet people, if you know, you know. Okay, shout out the Shuli Network.
Check out my Discord picture real quick.
What is your Discord picture? What the heck am I looking at? I don't even know it's Rebecca. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Don't even know what I'm looking at, Seth.
From the Bible. Rebecca, the 3-year-old.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's how she was described.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive that she can hold those water jugs so well. Such a tender age.
Yeah, that's quite the interpretation, ain't it?
It is, yeah. All right. God bless you guys.